Live from Altavista High School, it's time for Colonels football. The Altavista Colonels are back on 105.5 KD Country, taking on the Dan River Wildcats. My name is Kyle Hoehne. My partner tonight, the man of the hour. He's too sweet to be sour. I'm going to stay with that one for a little bit, Dennis, until I find some other nicknames for you. It's Mr. Dennis Jarvis, and Mr. Jarvis, a tough week last week for the Altavista Colonels. Shut out on the road at Gretna. Tough stretch here. Altavista has not won a ball game since August. Doesn't mean they're not playing hard. Doesn't mean they're not hungry. But a tough schedule combined with, some other factors in there as well has made things sort of blue in Colonel country here lately.
Blue's the color tonight too. We got a red, white, and blue clad Wildcats. They're 3-2, and you are correct. We've had a kind of a hard road. I think the shocks on the buses coming back from Gretna last Friday night weren't. They need a little bit more air in the tires and the shocks, because I know it was a bumpy ride coming home. You got beat on the road 39-0, and you have said it. It's not for lack of intensity, not for lack of heart, not for lack of trying. We're down to 20 guys active on the roster tonight. We've got some big guys out in Aaron Close and Jacob Adams. I was with the team tonight for the pregame dinner. A lot of yes sirs, no sirs, a lot of respect that we know out of a Coach Sharness team, but a lot of heart. And talked to them about, what did they see tonight? I said, we're home, we're excited, and they thanked us for the fried chicken. So, what more can I say? I'm excited. You and I both talked about it. We wanted this game. We've been wanting to get back home. We've been wanting to call our colonels for the folks listening out there, and we have got one heck of a team coming in to talk about tonight as well.
We do. The Dan River Wildcats, the record is just 3-2 this year, but make no mistake about it, they are another very tough opponent for Altavista here tonight. Interesting perspective you had as far as eating dinner with the guys tonight. We'll hit on that some more again in the pregame show. Let's get Coach Mike Sharness's perspective on things last week and the ball game tonight as well. We'll do that right after this quick timeout. It's award-winning high school football. The Altavista Colonels will host the Dan River Wildcats. You'll hear it all live on 105.5 KD Country.
Whatever your truck, car, SUV needs are, Highview Motors GMC has it all, from small to tall. New to pre-owned, offering more than just GMC sales. Highview Motors GMC provides 24-hour towing, full-service body shop, state inspection, transmissions, everything in between. Highview Motors GMC, providing top-quality service since 1961.
From small to tall, we got it all. Highview Motors GMC.
Finch and Finch Funeral and Cremation Service. A family serving families since 1905.
Service you can trust and prices that work for your family. During the moments in life that matter, you'll be able to feel the difference made by family ownership. Finch and Finch, families serving families since 1905.
Finch and Finch Funeral and Cremation Service. A family serving families since 1905.
Have you looked at your business banking fees lately? I'm Sean Stone with First National Bank, and we have the best business accounts which offer serious savings for your company. We have a full menu of business products, from checking accounts and remote deposit capture to online banking. And we have a local merchant card representative who will customize services just for your business. So let First National Bank prepare an analysis of your current activity and show how we will reduce your banking fees. First National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Back to the press box for high school sports on 105.5 KD Country.
We're back here at English Stadium for some high school football. It's the Altavista Colonels taking on the Dan River Wildcats. We're chatting once again with the head coach of the Altavista Colonels, Mr. Mike Sharness. And Coach Sharness, let's review back to the Gretna game real quickly. You guys had some moments there in the second quarter and a little bit in the third quarter when it seemed like you were going to get back in the ball game. Couldn't quite push through. What'd you like? What'd you dislike? It seemed like you guys were still playing hard there till the very end. Just couldn't connect all the dots.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff, Kyle, that we liked. To be honest with you, they're just a better football team than us. At this point, they're much quicker than we are, and I thought that was the biggest factor in the ball game, offensively and defensively, especially defensively. They played real good defense. They're very quick. And we have to maintain our blocks longer for us to we were just shooting for some first downs. They shut us out, of course, and it was just tough. And they're a good football team, and I'll give all the credit to them. I thought they played very well and just flat out beat us.
I ask you about one of your seniors that we haven't really talked about much, but made a couple big pass breakups last week, and he might be one of the smaller guys on the field, but it seems like he's always in fifth gear with the motor, and that's Jonte Gord. Talk about Jonte a little bit, and maybe any other unsung heroes you want to hit on that we haven't really talked about.
Yeah, I think Jonte's having a very good season. He's a senior, first-year starter. He's playing starting force at receiver and at safety, and he's a very quiet young man, very quiet, and he's played hard, and he's played well for us. So we love what he's done for the football team.
Let's talk about this week's opponent, the Dan River Wildcats. Always fast, always physical. Seems like that scouting report is the same every year, and probably no doubt the same this year. What are you looking for out of the Wildcats, and what are you looking for out of your ball club?
Well, for us, we're looking to bounce back from a 39-0 loss and play hard. Play hard, and we got to play more aggressively defensively. I talked to our defensive linemen this week. They're doing a good job doing some things that they're being coached to do, but now we need them to do a little bit more and be more aggressive, make some tackles for us. And then offensively, we have to quicker off the ball. We got to get quicker, our linemen quicker off the ball. We've altered our backfield a little bit with how we run our offense and trying to get to the hole a little bit quicker, and hopefully that'll make some positive change for us coming in. But you're right with Dan River. They are a team that's year in, year out is pretty much the same each year. They've got tons of athletes, and they like to run the ball a lot. So we've got to stop the run defensively, and they do have the ability to throw it deep, but they do like to stop the run. And so we hope we come out and play some inspired football.
Well, final question for you here, Coach. Football coaches are notoriously hard on themselves, after a loss, that kind of thing. That's what you always hear about, the coach mad all week long leading up to the next game. How are you handling this tough stretch that you guys are going through, and how are the rest of your coaches handling it?
It's been frustrating. It has been frustrating. I think it's something that you just you try to relate it to sound corny, not to sound corny or anything, and that's the way you talk. We've talked to the kids about it, but the ups and downs in life that you have to deal with every day, the good and the bad, and then what kind of week did you have? What kind of month did you have? How are things going on at the house with the wife and the kids? And that's what we try to relate it to the kids. This has been a tough year. You got to show up every day for practice. Obviously, you got to show up for school, but you got to do the work. You can't quit. You got to keep on working, and that's what we're trying to instill in our coaching staff and in the players. But it definitely is tough. There's nothing easy about it. But it is one of those things that you just flat out have to do it and hopefully get better by it.
You handle it better now rather than when you were a player or as a young coach, or about the same?
Most definitely, yeah. I handle it a whole lot better. And that just comes with experience. We've had some over the years. We've had a few years like this. So I don't know if I know what to expect, but I've got, I've been there before. Won championships, of course, and we've had losing seasons and some bad records and so on. But it's something that you just got to push through and hopefully make the best of what you can make of it.
Good stuff, Coach. We'll let you run. We'll see what happens tonight. It's Dan River. It's Altavista. Kickoff in about 20 minutes on 105.5 KD Country.
It's cold in here. Will your heating system keep you warm this winter, or will you spend a cold evening shivering under the covers? Have your heating system inspected today by Tyree Little's Heating and Cooling. Kent Tyree has over 20 years experience and specializes in heating, air, plumbing, and electrical. Licensed and bonded. Call for an appointment today. 309-2266. 309-2266. Tyree Little's Heating and Cooling.
The game is brought to you by these members of the KD Country Sports Club. Radio Shack and Crystal Bay Pools, serving your area since 1989 for swimming pool installations, chemicals, liners, and more.
El Cerrito. Throw on a sombrero. Shake your maracas. It's El Cerrito time. Authentic Mexican cuisine only El Cerrito can serve up.
One Stop Mart, Main Street, Altavista, where the gas is cheap, beverages are cold, and the chicken is kicking.
McDonald's of Altavista, proud supporter of the Altavista Colonels. Stop by or drive through before or after the game.
The Dairy Freeze with hot dogs, burgers, fries, and of course ice cream. They're doing it right at the Freeze on Main Street, Altavista.
Old Dominion Insurance. See Kim and Gil, your Erie insurance agents on Main Street, Gretna, next to Tyler Flower Shop.
Thanks for sponsoring tonight's broadcast on 105.5 KD Country.
Back to the press box for high school sports on 105.5 KD Country.
We are high atop in the press box here tonight at English Stadium, Altavista High School, the site of the upcoming matchup between the Dan River Wildcats and the Altavista Colonels. Hope you're having a good Friday night. My name is Kyle Hoehne. He is Dennis Jarvis. Katie is our sound engineer. Dennis, last time we were on the air, it was a 39-0 Gretna victory over the Altavista Colonels. You heard Coach Jarvis there in the interview. Not a whole lot of things went right for the Colonels. He was satisfied with his team's effort, thought they played hard all the way through, but didn't like the execution, didn't like the tackling, and just overall was not a good ball game for Altavista. And really, they had that stretch there in the midway through the second quarter and parts of the third quarter where it looked like they were going to bounce back and get a score, but just never materialized.
We had momentum at times. We were moving the ball efficiently. I think the defensive scheme was very sound. But, you know, that's a young Gretna team, 16 juniors, 15 sophomores. They really had a good game plan, a solid run-pass option attack that we have seen week in, week out for the last 3 weeks. And, you know, just the attrition. I think the sheer numbers, when I tell you that 15 sophomores, 16 juniors who turn those around with 20 men on our roster, freshman to senior, they were just doubling down on us. And, you know, it was there's an exciting game across the county tonight with one of our past foes, William Campbell and Gretna. And we're going to see those Hawks coming in here in a short week on Thursday night before Trichotillomania Day on October 13th.
Yeah, that's an interesting point that we discussed a little bit, but we didn't talk about a ton. Altavista will have a rematch against Gretna next week, one of those rare times in a football season where teams double up and they, out of necessity, have to play each other again. And I don't think either coaching staff is in love with it, but, hey, it's the hand that they're dealt. They're going to play it. We'll see. It's also a Thursday game next week. I'm sure we'll mention that more than one time tonight. It's a Thursday game. Altavista is off on fall break. The team said, well, we've played each other once. We won't need to do a ton of game planning during the week. So everybody was okay with playing Thursday. And maybe it helps on the back end because then you get an extra day of rest before your next opponent. Of course, if you want to look that far ahead, the Colonels are off that next week. Interesting schedule. It is what it is. And boy, we're really getting ahead of ourselves because we haven't even talked about this monster of a Wildcat team that the Colonels have in front of them tonight.
Monster is correct. And you've got I told you when you were away, we've got the tallest structure in Altavista this evening and the head coach of the Wildcats, and Pharrell Edwards. And that name should be synonymous with football royalty, not only in Central Virginia, but in Virginia at Virginia Tech, where the Edmonds brothers, his son, his sons play. His other son's at the University of Maryland.
No, he's in the NFL now. He's playing for the New Orleans Saints. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, and we got
he was
NFL
on the Saints roster. He had a very nice block on a kickoff return last week. Not to step on your toes.
Oh, not stepping on my toes. I'm not an
trying to save you from sounding like a goofball out there.
Well, that's hard to do.
You said it, not me.
I'm not an NFL aficionado like you, but I can tell you from the collegiate level, I've met this young man, Coach Edmonds' sons. They're stellar All-Americans in their own right, and he's a gentleman and a scholar, and what a leader. This is an amazing team we're going to watch tonight. Big, fast, senior depth, and they've had some interesting games in their own right in the last 5 weeks.
They really have. We'll discuss Dan Rivers' schedule and some players that you need to watch out for the Wildcats, and we'll talk more about the Altavista Colonels and what you'll have in store for them tonight. Some injury issues for the Colonels that we've touched on briefly, but we'll get into a little bit more after this quick timeout. Pardon me. It's Altavista. It's Dan River. Award-winning high school football is less than 10 minutes away on 105.5 KD Country.
Fun times are waiting for you at El Cazador, Altavista's oldest Mexican restaurant. Relax in comfort with daily food and drink specials, Mexican and American foods, and a children's menu too. Call for takeout or go online to elcazadorva.com. El Cazador is a proud supporter of community activities like high school sports and the Y. El Cazador is open 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Stop by before or after the game.
To become a Moose is an awesome feeling. You just can't belong to a better organization.
I was born and raised in a Moose, and I'll be a Moose the rest of my life. My son is a Moose. We're 3-generation Moose loggers. That's how it is with us. I hope everybody else that can join and become a member, you need to do it. You need to see what it does for us.
Why I belong to the Moose. For friendship, for the children, and most of all for the seniors.
What are you waiting for? Stop by the Moose Family Center in Altavista to learn more about how you can be a Moose.
A short drive will save you money.
This is Greg Walker with Feller Chevrolet. Our new 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty has many customers buying from us instead of the competition. Covers any vehicle purchased up to 10 years old with less than 150,000 miles, new or used. With our 3-day money-back guarantee, you can buy with confidence. Where else can you get great prices, good selection, 3-day money-back guarantee, and a warranty that gives you 10 years of protection? Come see us. You'll be glad you did.
Feller Chevrolet in Altavista.
Back to the press box for high school sports on 105.5 KD Country.
Pre-game show returns here. It's the Dan River Wildcats in town to take on the Altavista Colonels on a warm first Friday in October. I think it got up in the mid-80s again, Dennis. By the time we get kicked off, it'll be cooled down a little bit more. But, boy, this warm weather just hangs around. It's going to feel like football eventually. The Dan River Wildcats, as I mentioned, 3-2 on the year. The losses have been bookends. Their first game of the season and then their most recent outing against Appomattox, they lost 34-21. In between, they beat Bassett, Tunstall, and Halifax in games that were all three pretty close. The quarterback is probably going to be Peyton Aston, his favorite target, Bryson McLaughlin. He caught 5 balls and 2 touchdowns in that game against Appomattox. They'll use a host of different running backs, and they've had some injuries at the running back spot as well, and it'll be interesting to see who they can go to carry the rock. I believe they use 6 different ball carriers against Appomattox, and I suppose that's not that uncommon, but maybe a little bit different at the high school level to hand it to so many guys.
Well, this is a little different team than we're seeing. Run heavy, pass when needed. 194 yards rushing on the season each game through 5 for the Wildcats. They're averaging about 74 yards passing. And you were correct. I think it's going to be Peyton Austin, the senior signal caller. Over his career, he's 17-18 coming into this game overall. And his long is he's got 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's 19 of 59. But they got some solid runners, and they play both sides of the ball, Kyle. When they go strong, they go fast. These Wildcats go deep. And, it's attrition worse tonight. The number of seniors on this team is the total active number of Colonels that we have on the team ready to play tonight.
Yeah, 20 seniors on the ball club. That's not quite up there with Stanton Rivers' 26 or 27, whatever it was, but it's a lot of people that the Wildcats can throw at you. Wildcats look like they're ready for the national anthem. The band is still filing in. So while we have a moment, let's tell you the folks that bring us this ball game. We thank Fellers Chevrolet, now offering a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. The First National Bank, helping you bring home more bacon. English's, your complete home center, now offering a complete line of Carhartt clothing for men and women. Dennis and I had a good time at their open house and big sale on Saturday. We can recap that some later on in the game. Also, Napa Auto Parts of Altavista. Find your Napa know-how on Main Street. El Cazador, Altavista's original Mexican restaurant. English Construction, wishing our high school athletes an exciting and injury-free game. Tyree Little's Heating and Cooling, keeping you cool in the summer, warm in the winter, comfortable in between. PCM Industrial Services, now with mobile welding and repair service. The Altavista Office of Economic Development. We invite you to come find one of a kind. Finch & Finch Funeral and Cremation Service, a family serving families since 1905. D.L. Bryant Heating and Cooling. Call Donnie at 841-1580. That's 841-1580. The Moose Family Center in Altavista. Stop by the Moose Family Center on Lynch Mill Road to learn how you can be a moose. And Highview Motors GMC, from small to tall, Highview has it all. Big shout-out to our buddy George Rosser over there at Highview. Good pal Hector, good crew over there at Highview Motors. I'd love to get you in one of their GMC trucks or their used vehicles as well. Dennis, it looks like we do have some time here before the national anthem. What can the Colonels do to get back on track? I think on paper, at least, it would be an upset if they beat the Dan Rivers, but it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that the Colonels could win this ball game tonight. No,
not at all. We're very familiar with this foe, very familiar with the coaching style and the type of play that Dan River has. This is a consistent rival. I keep using that word the last 3 weeks. But, I think what we've got tonight is we are home. We're in the confines, the wonderful green, luscious grass of English Stadium. We've got our award-winning Colonel Band out there. We've got the fans here. I hope they're coming out in mass. And the guys had a sense, not a sense of urgency, a sense of calm. You call Coach Sharness the Zen Master. When I was with the young men tonight for pregame dinner that Rotary sponsored, it was very calm, very polite, but they knew it seemed like a team on a mission. And I think we're going to see some trickeration tonight. When you've got Aaron out of the game, Aaron Self, we've got, Jordan Adams out. I think we're going to see some things tonight that we haven't seen all year. Maybe an onside kick, maybe some play-action passing, maybe some trickeration that we've tried to see, and who knows what happens.
Yeah, that's a great point, possibly throwing in some different stuff tonight, maybe throwing caution to the wind, gambling a little bit. We're about to start the national anthem, and then we'll be back with football before you know it between the Altavista Colonels and the Dan River Wildcats. You've got yourself a ringside seat on 105.5 KD Country.
English is
so much more.
English is
more than a hardware store.
English is.
My friends may call me the perfectionist, but at English's Building Supply, my neighborhood Davis paint dealer, they greet me by name. You see, I like to get things done exactly right, especially when it comes to my many painting projects. So I'm at English's Building Supply a lot, whether it's mixing the perfect Davis paint for my project or offering great incentives. They do business just the way I like it. Perfectly. English's on North Main Street, Altavista.
Napa know-how. When you purchase a set of Napa brake pads and rotors, you get a discount code from Fanatics.com worth up to $50 towards your favorite sports gear. While Napa can't help your team reach the promised land, we can help make sure your car will. Great brakes, great price, great fan gear. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
Offer expires September 30th, 2017.
Napa Auto Parts, Main Street, Altavista, across from Feller Chevrolet.
Thinking of starting a business or expanding your company? Think about choosing Altavista as your location to invest and grow. Altavista offers low utility cost, broadband internet, US 29 access, and an attractive quality of life. You'll score big just like the Colonels when you invest in Altavista. Huddle up with the Altavista Office of Economic Development at Altavista Town Hall.
Your high school sports station with award-winning coverage on 105.5 KD Country.
We're back here with some final thoughts before the kickoff between Altavista and Dan River. Some other good games in the area tonight that we will certainly keep our eye on. Dennis and I have already mentioned William Campbell and Gretna hooking up. One of those teams is going to get their first loss this evening. A few final thoughts about the Wildcats. They're only averaging 22.6 points per game, Dennis, but that's a little bit misleading. This is a good offense. They're a little bit like Altavista in the fact that they've been playing all bigger schools this season. 3As and 4As, and Halifax even a 5A school. So, again, much like Altavista, where William Campbell's the only team that they play actually in their division, only team that they would see down the road in the playoffs so far. Dan River, the only team they've played that they could see in the playoffs would be those Appomattox Raiders. We know how good they are. The Colonels, just for reference, averaging 16.3 points per game. They're giving up close to 40, and some of that is inflated because of that big Stanton River game. But obviously the Colonels not as good on defense as they want to be.
No, not as good. But you've had a couple of weeks where you've been not fully 100%. We've got Montague back with us, fully solid. He wasn't there for us. Which game? It wasn't Gretna. It was the week before Gretna.
Johnny was out really most of that Prince Edward game and then also the Stanton River and Rustburg games. And then he made his way back in that William Campbell game, but he was somewhat limited. They tried to ease him back into action.
And, I think you made an astute point, too. You've got it overinflated for the number of points that we're giving up a game. When you surrendered 72 against Stanton River, that throws the statistics out the window. But you know what you and I know? We've got an open window. We're looking down upon the field tonight. It's in perfect shape. The script A is in orange. We've got a team that looks like the University of Kansas playing Oregon State again tonight, so a Big 12, Pac-12 showdown. And I've got a sinking suspicion that these Colonels are not going to go quietly into that good night. I didn't go to grammar class today either, so I'm
Close enough.
Very excited about this opportunity to showcase Colonel football, showcase Altavista, and what a worthy opponent to call on the other side of the field tonight, Kyle.
Sure is. I think it's going to be a fun night. Looks like there's a decent crowd here at Altavista tonight. The fans are filing in. The Dan River Wildcats still huddled up on their side. The Altavista Colonels over here on the right side of the field are staging and getting ready to run through their banner. We've had some Dan River fans that have made the trip up Route 29. We hope we've got more listening out there on 105.5 or perhaps kdcountry.com or maybe even with the KD Country app. Dennis and I are both excited. We get excited about all these games, but you and I were chatting. We're pumped up. It's another swing of back-to-back home games for the Colonels. One more road game, and they're back at home, and then it'll be time for the playoffs. And the Colonels, even with the one win, are pretty much assured of a playoff spot. And believe it or not, they may even host a playoff game. Again, that's a little bit further down the road. We'll start talking about that more as the season draws to a close.
Well, our schedule. The schedule's in front of us. We know what we're facing. We know what we're facing in weeks to come, but we know more importantly what we're facing tonight. This is a Dan River team that you said is played just like us, played above their ranking, a classification rather. They've had some solid wins and some solid losses. It's a really balanced offensive attack, run first, pass second. So we're going to see some physicality up front, some seniors that really want to go out of here tonight. I told you, every time anybody comes to A-Town, they bring their A game.
That's a great way to phrase it. Great way to phrase it. Got to remember that one. Dan River will wear white road jerseys today with blue numbers. They'll wear the royal blue pants with a royal blue helmet. A lot of Dan River players have on pink as far as Breast Cancer Awareness Month goes. Sporting some pink socks and some pink armbands, pink sleeves, a few of them. The Altavista Colonels tonight in the road orange jerseys with the black and white trim. They've got white pants tonight to go along with the black helmet, orange A in the middle. If you joined us a little bit late, Altavista comes into the ball game at 1-5, and they have not won a game since August, the first game of the season. Looking to change that here tonight. The Wildcats come in at 3-2. They were idle last week. Of course, Altavista was on the road at Gretna. They lost 39-0. Colonels will kick the ball away to start the game, so that means they'll receive in the second half. Dan River has one deep man. We'll try to identify him when we'll see if the ball gets back there. Shaheem Pannell will be the kicker for the Altavista Colonels. He's been handling those duties all year. He punts as well, and he does the extra points. Runs up through the fog that's still lingering out there from the cannon blast, and it's received by number 1 for the Dan River Wildcats. That's Reggie Venable Jr. He got tapped at the 24-yard line, sidestepped his way across to the 26, and then brought down around the 29-yard line. That was Reggie Venable Jr., a senior for the Dan River Wildcats.
It was a good return for the Wildcats, but we've been averaging fairly deep on kicks, and this is uncharacteristic for us to give an opposing team, whomever it is, this great a starting position before the start of the game.
Colonels have done a nice job covering kicks so far this year. Defense is crowding the line of scrimmage. No deep safety. Everybody looks like they're showing blitz. Handoff play. Montague got there to trip the runner up. He also got aided by Jaden Martin. Looked like the ball carrier was
number
10, Jordan Richardson. Mentioned they'll use a bunch of different runners. Venable Jr. will run it some. Richardson will run it. Trey Womack, Tyree Barton, B.J. Edmondson, if he's healthy, may run it some.
Kyle, we're seeing them start up here in a pistol once again with receivers stacked to the right.
2 wide receivers to the right. They're going to throw out in that direction. It's complete down the far sideline. Receiver is wrapped up at the 35-yard line and then dropped at the 36-yard line. Good job in coverage there. Looked like Jonte Gord was the man that brought him down with some help from the oncoming defensive cavalry.
We've been getting to call Jonte's number a lot. He's been real aggressive, real assertive, and he's playing real solid, fundamentally sound tackling football the last 3 weeks.
He sure has been playing well. That was number 88, Bryson McLaughlin, on the catch. He's a good basketball player, too, and we can say that about a number of guys on this Dan River team. Passing play again. Aston wants to sprint for the first down. He's across the 40. He's got the first down pickup and a bit more. That's a 9-yard quarterback scramble on a play where Aston looked to the left, saw a big-time opening, and decided to exploit it with his feet. Chains move. Dan River, first down of the game with 10:36 left to play in the first quarter. No score.
Kyle, you wouldn't expect anything less from a senior signal caller. Tucked the ball under. His receivers were jazzed up, and he picked up the first down.
Football is on the left hash mark, 48-yard line. Fresh set of downs for the visiting Wildcats in the road white jerseys, working right to left from our perspective. Handoff play here. They're going to go to Richardson again. He started up the middle, then ran off right tackle. Not much of a hole there. The Colonels were sound on the defensive line. Looked like Tyler Gord got off the bottom of the pile there. It's a 1-yard gain for Dan River.
Kyle, as you said earlier, we're going to see a lot of different looks from runners. We got number 14 as a sophomore coming in for the Wildcats now. Looks like he's going to be in the backfield.
2nd and 9. Colonels with the 4-3 defense. Both safeties are walked up close. Here's a toss play. They give it to number 34, Noah Kearns. Kearns is throttled down in the backfield. The Colonels swarmed over there in between right hash mark and right sideline. Got to him very quickly. That's a 4-yard loss. It's going to set up 3rd and about 13 for Dan River. Let's see if the Altavista defense can force a Dan River punt here on really the biggest play of the game so far.
That was a huge, big tackle by Daniel Trippett there. Really proud to call his name out tonight.
47-yard line, right hash mark. Dan River needs to get to the other 42-yard line. They pump fake the pass. They're looking deep. Aston fires. It's complete on the 30-yard line. The receiver, McLaughlin, will race into the end zone. It's a 53-yard touchdown. A flag came out really as McLaughlin was catching it. I wonder if there's a chance it could be offensive pass interference. If that's the case, that would save the touchdown for the Colonels. If it's on the defense, then obviously the play will stand, and it'll be 6. Here's the call. It is on Dan River. Wow.
Yes.
What a good call by the official. You rarely get that in high school. He called the offensive pass interference. McLaughlin using the 6'4" frame to push off a bit and get some more space on the shorter Christian Gilbert that was out there trying to defend him.
Well, I tell you, it was a personnel issue, and he did push off. I didn't mean to get so enthusiastic. That was a great call, but it would have been one well of a touchdown for us to talk about as well. He was stride for stride, and just a little bit of a push there gave him the extra edge, and thank heavens that they saw the no-no, and it went our way.
3rd down and a bus ride now. Talk about a big swing of yardage. I mean, it was a 57-yard touchdown. Now the ball's all the way back on the 32-yard line. It's basically a loss of like 70 yards when you think about it that way. Another pass. This one a little bit high for the jumping McLaughlin. He got his fingertips on it, but never had a chance to really pull it in. He caught it around the original line of scrimmage, or pardon me, he would have caught it around the original line of scrimmage, and then he would have had to go 10 more yards to get the first. It's incomplete. It's a punting situation on 4th and long for Dan River. Colonels will send back 2 return men, Christian Gilbert and Shyheim Pennell. Clock is stopped with 8:42 left to play in the first quarter. No score between Dan River and Altavista. Snap is back to the punter. It's very good. It's a low-line drive kick that the Colonels nearly got to. Christian Gilbert's going to get away from it and let it bounce. It'll stop on the 28-yard line. Altavista will take over. Their first possession of the ball game will start there with 8:33 left to play in the Englishes, your complete home center first quarter.
You know, Kyle, that was a great penetration by the Lion from Altavista. Daniel Trippett's back there. I think he put a little fear in the Wildcat punter. And we talked about momentum in the game. We need some things to go the Colonel's way early. And then errant offensive pass interference call on the Wildcats, and this would put us in great field position for the Colonels to start this first possession of the first quarter.
It's a big swing. It ends up being a net 2-yard drive for Dan River. Even though they picked up a first down and they were on the other side of the 50 at one point, they ended up losing so many yards on the the pass interference play. It's a handoff to Shyheim Pennell on first down. He never really got started. He managed to force his way close to the line of scrimmage. They'll actually mark him for a 1-yard loss now. Blocking was not sound on the right side of the offensive line.
Well, this is a huge Wildcat defense. We've seen great opportunities for the Altavista Colonel offensive line to grow each week. You heard Coach Sharnas talking about the increased play for the offensive line and D-line in the pregame. We'll see more of that to come in the game today.
Big man in the middle is DeAndre Edmonds. He's 6'4", 315. He can occupy at least 2 gaps, maybe 3. He's got a hold of Pennell as he slams him into the turf there. He got by the would-be blocker and just wrapped up Shyheim Pennell and planted him 1 more yard deep in the backfield. This is going to set up 3rd and long for the Altavista Colonels. They need to get to the 38-yard line, moving left to right from our perspective here in this first quarter.
Would you say DeAndre Edmonds is the second tallest structure in Altavista tonight other than his dad?
Next to Farrell Edmonds.
Yes.
Right. Here comes the 3rd down setup for the Altavista Colonels. Gilbert has the offense set. He takes a minute to explore the defense. Now it's another running play. This time Pennell bursts through the line of scrimmage but doesn't get much more as he's swallowed up by the Dan River defense. Call it a 4-yard gain. It's not enough for a first down. It'll bring up 4th down in a punting situation for the Altavista offense. 7:05 left to play in the Englishes, your complete home center first quarter. Still no score here from Altavista High School.
Well, we probably will see a punt formation. I think we'll see a punt. I don't think there's any question about if the Colonels are going to do anything else.
There's the snap. Pennell takes a couple steps to his right, gets off a high, wobbly punt that was sort of sidewinding, and it'll get fielded on the run backwards by number 12, Robert Carter. Carter's going to go all the way across the right side of the field, close to the right sideline. He's chopped down at the 30, and a flag came out as he was turning his way upfield. It's on a punt return, so we can only assume it's a block in the back or a hold, but we'll wait and see what the official says about the penalty that is resting at the 31-yard line, the penalty flag there.
That was a good call. That was a good tackle for someone who haven't got a call a lot all season yet, Kyle. That was Jaden Gilbert, number 24 for our Colonels. This looks like you're backing the Wildcats up one more time.
Sure does. It's going to end up being the second costly penalty of the evening so far for the Dan River Wildcats. Can't make their head coach, Farrell Edmonds, too happy. He's a relatively even-keel guy as well, like Mike Sharnas, if you've ever talked to Coach Edmonds. You know, some of those former NFL players are still kind of intense, like they're still playing out there, but Coach Edmonds is pretty laid back, stays in the moment, much like Coach Mike Sharnas for the Colonels.
And he's very stylish this evening. He's in a pink sweatshirt for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But you're right, tallest structure in Altavista is a bit stoic right now.
1st and 10 for the Wildcats, far hash mark, their own 22-yard line. They're set up in an I formation now, fullback and tailback. They give it to the tailback. Oh, and he got spun around. They nearly brought him down at the line of scrimmage, slowed him down anyway, and Jonte Gord was able to get in and make the stop with Daniel Triplett. Ball carrier there was number 10, Jordan Richardson.
And if I'm right, that was Keyshawn Moon on the first initial. He wrapped him up. He slowed him down. If he'd wrapped him up, stayed through the tackle, might have been a bigger loss for the Wildcats. Quite impressive defensive stand so far for our Colonels, Kyle.
2nd and 3. They gave him a pretty good spot there on the first down running play. Now the ball's all the way on the left hash mark. Aston gets set under center to take the snap. I formation again with 3 wide receivers. Handoff play. They're going to the other side with Richardson. Fullback led him through the hole, and he's able to gain 3 yards before the Altavista defense put him to the ground. 3rd and 3 coming up, maybe even 3rd and a long 2 for the Dan River offense. It's 0-0 our score here. Early first quarter action. I say early, we're already halfway through the quarter. Clock moving with 5:35 left to play in the first.
Kyle, we're playing with some intensity, we're playing with some emotion, and the Colonels seem primed and ready to play tonight.
I agree with those statements. Aston looks over the defense, into the crouch, takes the snap, toss play. They're going right. Montague got there, and he was held as he was trying to make the stop. The ball carrier is still running free. This is number 4, Tyree Barton, streaking down the far sideline. Colonels are in chase. Now they throw him out of bounds. The flag is back where Montague nearly had Barton stopped at the line of scrimmage. I think Jonathan got held. The referee agrees with me, and that will back Dan River up 10 yards from that spot. And again, it wipes off big yardage again, Mr. Jarvis. The penalties right now are the story. They're really hampering the Wildcat offense.
Not calling these games with you in the past, I would find that this Dan River team should be a fundamentally sound team, one with prone to make few mistakes. 3rd yellow, the laundry's been on the field all night so far, and it's not going against us. It's going against the visiting team. And, that was a heck of a run by Tyree Barton. He's a senior. He's got 351 yards so far on the game season and 4 touchdowns. He's a speedster.
Oh, yes. It wipes off a 37-yard gain. So you throw 10 yards back on that. And, I mean, again, just the amount of yards that Dan River has lost because of the penalties sort of staggering right now. Shotgun formation on 3rd and long. Aston's got a good pocket to throw from. Steps into a long bomb. Heaves it deep. It's caught at the 50-yard line and then broken up by Shaheem Pinnell. What a nice play by Pinnell. He's pumped up getting off the Bermuda turf. That ball was in the hands of Reggie Venable Jr. As he was coming to the ground. Pinnell punched at it, dislodged it, and Venable unable to hold on thanks to the good defense from Shaheem Pinnell.
Kyle, you would not know this is a 1-5 Colonel team coming in this game. The intensity's there. The emotions are there. Shaheem just knocked that ball away, broke up a pass that would have got back all that negative yardage that the Wildcats have surrendered.
Here comes a punt again for Dan River on their 2nd drive. It's a line driver. Pinnell fields it at the 48-yard line. Stutter step, hesitation, runs through one tackle, bounces off another. He's going to try and turn the corner on the near sideline. Seemed to run out of gas there at the 40-yard line as he's tossed out of bounds by a couple Dan River tacklers. That was Hunter Slaughter that made the hit, joined by, I believe, Dakota Trammell for the Wildcats over here, near sideline right to run Pinnell out of bounds.
You've heard me talk early in pregame about the pregame meal. Shaheem came back for 2nds and 3rds. He was very hungry for a meal, and he's very hungry tonight. He just gobbled up some turf, bounced off 2 Wildcat tacklers, picked up some extra yards, and there's no lack of intensity and emotion from this Colonel team tonight. I'm pumped. I hope you're pumped.
I am too. All that after the nice pass breakup on defense as well. Pinnell looks a little bit gassed, but they're going to send him back in there. Gilbert looks behind him and says, hey, man, you okay? 2 wingbacks, 1 to each side. They're going to hand it off to Pinnell on 1st down. No, I believe Gilbert kept it in the pile there. It's not going to matter. He got thrown backwards. It's a good thing he held onto the football. The Dan River defense was in the Altavista backfield early on that play.
Well, I'm going to have trouble pronouncing this game. I hope it's Jackson Aaron. That was big number 50 from Dan River on the tackle.
I think you got that one right. 2nd and 11 coming up for the Colonels. Right hash mark. They're on the Dan River 43-yard line. They're on the plus side of the field here after the nice punt return. 4:05 remaining in the Englishes, your complete home center, first quarter. Englishes is your home for Carhartt apparel for men and women. Folks, it's going to get cold at some point. You need the Carhartt clothing if you're going to be outside. Wide receiver sweep here. They give it to Jonte Gord. He got caught around the jersey and lassoed down. Really nowhere to go for Jonte Gord. This is becoming a theme here for the Altavista offense. Wildcat defenders in the backfield early and often.
Well, I'm going to call the number again. I think that was number 50, Jackson Aaron. We've seen that play work weeks past. If you're watching a little game film, that sprint jet sweep by the wide receiver probably was going to be snuffed out pretty quick tonight.
Colonels are going the wrong direction on their first 2 plays. Let's see what happens on 3rd and 16. Need to get to the 31-yard line of Dan River to pick up a fresh set of downs. Clock moving, 3:15 left to play in the first period. Altavista 0, Dan River 0. Christian Gilbert accepts the high snap, fakes it to Pinnell, going to keep it himself. Cuts back inside off the right tackle. He's back to the original line of scrimmage, but stopped at the 40-yard line, a full 9 yards short of the first down. Okay, it's 4th and 9. Do you go for it here? Good field position. You're on the Dan River side of the 50.
You're on the positive side of the field. I told you Coach Jarvis is a riverboat gambler. I told you I thought we were going to see some things we're not really used to, familiar with this week. Looks like I think I may be right. We're going to go for it.
Dan River doesn't think so. They've got a deep safety / return man back around the 15-yard line. Let's see what happens. They do snap it to Pinnell, and he'll kick it deep. Ball will land on the 5 and trickle into the end zone. Looked like it might stop before it got past the end line there, but it'll be a touchback, and Dan River will start this drive at the 20-yard line, their own 20-yard line. So Colonels happy to play the field position game there, and why not? Their defense is playing well. Maybe they can turn that into some points. Maybe a turnover here somewhere. Possibly get something going that way. I don't disagree with the decision. I wouldn't have disagreed with the Colonels if they went for it either. Altavista really hasn't been able to pick up 9 yards yet tonight on those first 2 possessions, so maybe the punt there is the right move.
This is a big, solid Wildcat defense with a big, solid offensive line as well.
2:26 left to play here in the first quarter as Dan Rivers starts their second play of the game. Daniel Triplett is in the backfield. I should have said Dan Rivers starts their 3rd possession of the game, but it doesn't start the way the Wildcats wanted to. It's a 1-yard loss there. Daniel Triplett busting through that big offensive line and making a nice stop.
I think Daniel had a birthday this week, if I remember right, and he's showing either birthday pride or, man, he's like, I'm tired of this, not calling my name, because he's really hitting the hole tonight.
Yeah, sometimes the birthday can put you in a good mood. I formation, 2 wide receivers right, 1 left. Aston will sprint out and wants to throw the football. He does down the near sideline, and it's tipped out of bounds, incomplete. It'll bring up 3rd and 11. Good coverage there by the Colonels defense to stop those outbreaking sideline routes.
The Wildcat quarterback heard footsteps with big Keyshawn Moon, a 6'1" sophomore for our Colonels, and he threw that pass a little to the right and a little too high.
Again, Dan River is a run-first kind of team, but we've already seen them throw the football a bit tonight with some success. Maybe a passing play here on 3rd and 11. We'll see. It's a shotgun formation. 1 running back is to Aston's right. He's got 2 receivers to each side. Colonels have 1 deep safety. That's Jonte Gord. Jonathan Montague slides in. Looks like he wants to blitz. Now he'll get in coverage. Aston throws. Seam route. Complete. McLaughlin has it. He's across the 35. Trucking his way to the 40. Still not down yet. The Colonels have to hit him 3 times to bring him down. That's complete. It's a 21-yard gain, and the chains will move for the Wildcats with 1:35 left to play in the first quarter.
When you say he's big for our radio listeners, Bryson McLaughlin is a senior, 6'4", 200 pounds, and to me he looks like solid muscle. So that's why it took 3 or 4 of our Colonel defenders to get him jammed up on that right side and close what could have been a longer game for the Wildcats.
Yeah, Aston throwing the football well. O-line gave him time to throw, and gosh, what a big target out there in McLaughlin. He's a fun player to watch. Daniel Triplett had a hold of the ball carrier as he smashed his way through the hole and picked up 6 or 7 yards. It looks like it's Jordan Richardson again, if I'm not mistaken, there on that carry for Dan River.
Kyle, it looks like there's a little issue with rhythm for the center back to the Wildcat quarterback when they're in that shotgun, because that was a little high to the right. He barely got the snap down.
Maybe the Colonels can exploit that and try and jam that center, rough them up a little bit, legally, of course, but make it harder on them to get those good snaps. Another running play off right tackle. Tyreek Cheney this time the ball carrier. Told you Dan River will use a bunch of different running backs. They're throwing everybody in the kitchen sink at the Colonels. That's another Dan River Wildcat first down. We'll call that a 7-yard gain that moves the chains. The clock will restart when they reset. 40 seconds left now in the Englishes, your complete home center. First quarter. 0-0 is still our score from Altavista High School.
Kyle, that center to quarterback exchange was still high and wide to the right.
Penalties have burned the Dan River Wildcats early. There's another high snap. Design run for Aston. He's sprinting out. Turns it up the field in between the hash marks and the numbers. Chopped down there by a flying Shaheem Pinnell. He brought him down at the Altavista 30. Probably another Dan River first down. And now it seems like the Wildcats are developing a rhythm on offense. They're avoiding the penalties, too.
I was going to say, they got a good dance rhythm, kind of a maraca going, I think, and it is. If we can just exploit this, the Colonels, on this center to quarterback exchange, we might be able to do something with this.
Spread formation again for Dan River, left hash mark, 30-yard line. They put a receiver in motion. They hand it to him. That's Tyree Barton. He turns the corner, now sprinting upfield. Angles back outside. Good solo tackle on the outside of the play. Who was that defender for Altavista? That was a good takedown in the open field there. That's Christian Gilbert, of course, one of the most sure-handed tacklers for Altavista, and that will bring a close to the first quarter. 0-0 is our score from Altavista. Dan River football to start the second quarter when you return on 105.5 KD Country.
PCM Industrial of Altavista offers mobile welding and repair services, fully equipped service trucks, certified craftsmen, and quick response to satisfy your needs. Contact PCM Industrial at powerconstruction.com. PCM Industrial is a fully insured Class A licensed contractor, OSHA and MSHA compliant. PCM Industrial Services of Altavista wishes Coach Sharness and the Altavista Colonels football team good luck in another winning season. Go Colonels.
Now back to the action with Colonel Sports on 105.5 KD Country.
0-0 the score here between Altavista High School and the Dan River Wildcats. Time flying by, Dennis. It's only 7:20 here. And you run the ball a lot, keep it in play. Clock doesn't stop. No scoring, too, so that made things really tick by pretty quickly. And at this pace, we'll be out early, but I think there's still a lot left of this story to tell between these two good football teams.
You know, there is a lot of story to tell. Who would think a 1-5 team in Altavista who surrendered gave up 39 points last week would stop this big, aggressive running game, penalty-ridden first quarter for the Wildcats. But our Colonels are playing solid. Our Colonels are playing fast. They're here to play.
4-3 defensive setup for Altavista. It's a spread formation for the Wildcats. 3 receivers to the left. Aston wants to run right. No hole to run through. Colonels stuffed him up. Tyler Gord, first man on the scene. He was joined by number 15, Jaden Martin. Man, good time, good stuff there. Keyshawn Moon again in on the stop for the Colonels as well.
You know, these are, like I said earlier, we're going to be seeing some names for the Colonels, calling some names like Keyshawn Moon and Jaden, ones we haven't called this year who've been playing, but they're getting their number called tonight because only 20 men active roster for our Colonels tonight.
3rd and 4 for the Wildcats. They need to get just past the 20-yard line. Ball on the hash mark right. Aston readies his offense, takes the snap, chest high. Passing play, sprints out to his left, throws deep, end zone, ball's in the air, it fluttered and it picked off. It's intercepted by Jonte Gord. He's going to try and take it out of the end zone, but he's stopped in the end zone, which is probably a good thing. An interception for the Colonels defense. They come up with another big play on 3rd down. They'll take over on their own 20-yard line. Jonte Gord taking the ball out of the sky again. How about that for the Altavista Colonels, Mr. Jarvis?
I was very impressed. I loved your game call, loved your play-by-play with that because Jonte was right there. There was not a Wildcat receiver anywhere in that left corner of that end zone. And my golly gee willikers, are our Colonels just excited? Are they fast? And we're calling all kinds of numbers tonight. I've got to go back and look. And I may run out of words to say tonight.
Well, get you a thesaurus or something, or you can find one on the internet somewhere. 7th interception of the year for the Altavista Colonels. 5th game they've had a pick. Running play here on 1st down. Hard running inside for Shaheem Pinnell. He got clobbered, but he kept going nicely. It's only a 4-yard pickup, maybe closer to 5 yards. It was very hard-earned for the senior, number 6, Shaheem Pinnell.
You know, Kyle, we can't give enough accolades to the offensive line for the Colonels. Getting 5 yards on that carry against this big, beefy Looks like they ate the whole Burger King and Wendy's out of coming up 29 out of food. This Dan River team is fast and huge.
And I beg your pardon, football fans, that's actually Altavista's 8th interception of the year, 3rd one on the year for Jonte Gord. How about a nice spin move there on the running play for the quarterback, Chris Gilbert. He's thrown forward across the 30-yard line, enough for a Altavista first down. 10:25 left to play here in the first half. Still no score. The momentum seems to be resting with the home team here tonight, Dennis, the Altavista Colonels. Dan River not playing bad, but the penalties, the interception, those are the difference makers right now in a no-score game.
The cadence is changed up by our award-winning Colonel Band, and the Colonels know how to march through the drum beat tonight. I'm very impressed.
Shotgun formation again for Altavista. They operate out of that exclusively. Here's Shaheem Pennell, tried to get in behind pulling guard. Stumbled, got bumped backwards, and then got drilled by a flying number 33, Daniel Dickerson. Another one of those good basketball players. He hit Shaheem Pennell hard and low with the left shoulder pad and brought him to the deck.
You know, Daniel Dickerson is a senior. He's 5'9", 228. They eat a lot of protein on that team across the way from us.
2nd and 10 for the Altavista Colonels. Left hash mark. Substitutes coming in the game now. It's Jonathan Montague, another senior. Johnny, an incredible defender. Think back to that first game against Central Lunenburg. That was a big reason why the Colonels won. He had 20 tackles. They'll put him in motion. They fake it to Pennell. Gilbert going to keep it himself on the option read. Runs forward into just what ended up being a mass of Dan River bodies. And there were some Altavista offensive linemen in there as well, but nowhere to go for Gilbert. Picked up one at most. It'll make it 3rd and 9 for the Colonels. Need to get just beyond their own 40-yard line for a fresh set of downs here with just under 9 minutes to play in the second quarter.
Well, very methodical, very well thought out offensive set calling from our coaching staff, and what a solid play. I know I've used that word a lot, but what solid play by our offensive line again tonight.
One wing to each side, one receiver to each side. They fake it to Jonte Gord. Gilbert keeps it. Nice hole to run through. Lowers the shoulder. Spun around at the 47-yard line. Pardon me, that was the 37. He's short of the yard to gain for a first down.
You know, does it seem to you that Christian's grown week to week as a signal caller this season for us? Knows when to drop his shoulder, knows when to keep charging, and I'm very impressed with the maturation we've had from Christian so far this season.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. He's doing a great job running the offense, making sure people are where they were supposed to be, and as a ball carrier, he's really coming alive too. He showed a lot of that last year as a runner. This year as a quarterback, it's a little different style of running. Here comes the punt from Shaheem Pennell. This is a nice high-hanging boot with the right foot. It'll land at the 27-yard line. It'll tumble backwards end over end to the 25. Colonels cover it well. Dan River had no chance to return it, and I'd call that a win there on the special teams play for Altavista. They flipped the field. They've had to punt 3 times this evening, but the Colonels' defense keeping Altavista in this game, so 0 contest between Altavista and Dan River. 7:45 left to play in the English is your complete home center. Second quarter. Dennis, we were both pumped up. We knew we were going to get a good game tonight. This is fun, isn't it?
It is. And, you know, football is fundamentals, 3 facets of the game. Altavista has been playing all 3 facets of the game. It's hard so far.
I wonder if a big play is going to bust this thing open one way or the other. Here's the handoff to Tyreek Barton. He runs hard, smack dab into his own left tackle and then into some resistance from the Altavista Colonels. But that was about 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. It ends up being a 3.5 or 4-yard pickup on first down for the Wildcats offense.
Altavista just brought in a freshman, and Tyler Biggie Reynolds to put up on that defensive line.
Got some fresh legs, some fresh blood in there on the defensive line. Let's see if it makes an impact. Running play again to Barton. Oh, what a tackle by Jonathan Montague. Montague lunged out, got him low, just tripped him up enough. He didn't get much of him. Got him by the boot there and flipped him forward for a loss of 1. Jonathan Montague, nice play to bust through the line of scrimmage. It brings up 3rd and 8.
You know, I love every time you call Jonathan's name because you say it with such reverence and such passion, and that's the way he plays. Reverent and passion field every time he makes a tackle like that.
He's set up on the right side of the defense now. Aston under center, I formation, 3rd and 8 for the Dan River Wildcats. Play action pass, throwing down the middle. It's incomplete. It was overthrown. They were looking for Reggie Venable Jr. The key man in the Altavista secondary, Jonte Gord, was in the area again. Good coverage. It forces another Dan River punt, their 3rd punt of the game. They've had 4 possessions, 3 punts, 1 interception. The Altavista offense, not much better, Dennis. 3 possessions and 3 punts, but hey, we've got ourselves a ball game. That's all you can ask for, right? 0-0 between Altavista and Dan River.
If you like defensive football, you like fundamental football, this is a game to listen to. This is a game to come watch.
Yeah, it's old school football out here right now. 6:34 left to play in the second quarter. Wildcats having a hard time getting the right personnel out there. Dangerously close to a penalty. No flags out. Ball is booted away. It's wobbly, end over end, and it'll tumble out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Altavista's offense going to take over there. Go ahead.
You know, Kyle, we haven't called the transit authority yet. You said that looked like the Wildcats ran out of gas, the bus did this. I think it's time for us to get Hoehne fired up, get the bulldozer out, clear a big path. Let's get down deep in this Colonel red zone, and let's put one up. You said a game changer, a big play. I think we might smell one coming here. Or is that Colonel Dogs coming from the snack booth down there?
Maybe a combination of both. They smell the same. It's a Colonel's offense that has not attempted a pass yet so far tonight. Of course, you got to remember their number 1 passing option as a receiver is out, Jacob Adams. Maybe they'll try it this drive, though. Running play. Pinnell's got a nice hole off left tackle. Runs through one Jersey tackle, and then he's tag-teamed down at the 45-yard line, about a yard inside the near left sideline. That's a nice pickup of 4 for the Altavista Colonels. 6:10 left to play in the Englishes, your complete home center, second quarter. Remember, the cold weather is coming. Hunting season is right around the corner. Got to stay comfortable and warm outside. Even if you're not a hunter, you got to stay comfortable and warm. Carhartt clothing at English's. They actually give them a better spot, make it more like 2nd and 5 now after the first down play. Here comes Jonathan Montague, going to hit it hard right up the middle. That's a 2-yard gain. They're close to the first down marker, but they don't quite have enough. It'll be a 3rd and short situation for the Altavista offense from about their own 47-yard line left hash mark.
It's good to see Jonathan back in on the offensive side of the ball. We haven't got to call that since that Prince Edward game as much, and it gives us that 1-2 punch with Montague and Hoehne Parnell. I'm excited to see him back in the game.
And you got to remember, last year Montague was really option number 1 running the ball. 13 rushing touchdowns, 7 yards per carry. Just been hampered with the injuries this year. They're going to hand it to him again. Gets in behind a pulling lineman. He's got Wildcats draped all over him. He came precariously close to that first down marker, but I think the officials are going to mark him short. There's one referee that has a spot that's a little further than the other 2 guys, and they put that ball now on the 49-yard line. I think Altavista has enough for a first down. They're going to call it 4th and short. I beg your pardon.
4th and short. Well, you know, this is something we can't reinforce enough. This is a very big Wildcat team. Lots of beef, lots of big guys up front. Our young, solid offensive line for the Colonels is making these runs happen and putting the Colonels in this position to be 4th and inches to get a first down.
Altavista taking some time to get the play in. I think Coach Mike Sharness is going to take a timeout. Yes, he does. He takes the timeout. We'll take it with him. 4th and short coming up for the Altavista Colonels. 4:21 left to play in the half. It's a scoreless game from Altavista High School on 105.5 KD Country.
Your home is your biggest investment. It must be handled properly. Let the professionals at D.L. Bryant Heating and Cooling handle your home issues. Donnie and his trained professional staff are ready at 434-841-1580. They can make sure your home or business HVAC system is ready. Ready for the rest of the summer and ready for the upcoming fall and winter. Call D.L. Bryant Heating and Cooling at 434-841-1580. That's 841-1580. D.L. Bryant is ready to protect your investment.
Your home for Colonel sports coverage. 105.5 KD Country.
We return to English Stadium in one of the better halves of football that we've seen this season. Certainly one of the most competitive. It's a 0-0 ball game here from Altavista High School. The Colonels hosting the Dan River Wildcats. 4th and short coming up for the Altavista offense, Dennis. This would be good to pick this up and keep this drive going. It's right at midfield. They need to get just beyond the 49-yard line. They don't even need to get to the 50 for a first down.
We're putting some beef. The Colonels are putting some beef up on the line. Let's do something solid. Keep this drive running. Plus, the Colonels get the ball back to start the third quarter.
You got it. Altavista may go with the hard snap count here, too, on 4th and short. We'll see. Tight splits up front for the O-line. Nope, they snap it. Gilbert hands off to Pinnell. He's got enough. A flag comes out on the near sideline. Wonder if an Altavista player was moving early? Yes, that's the initial signal from the official. Wipe off the first down, and now it'll come back and be about 4th and 5.5. Do you still go for it now? It's a little bit tougher to pick it up.
You know, I was talking to Coach Sharness in the pregame. If you play cards or any type of game like that, a chance, he's a guy you want on your team because doesn't show emotion, very calm, very collected. And this is one of those situations where the other coach on the other side knows his opponent pretty well. I don't know what's going to happen.
4th and 6 for the Colonels. It does appear to be a punting formation now as Pinnell is back just a little bit deeper. 4:17 left to play in the Englishes, your complete home center, second quarter. Great kick by Shaheem Pinnell. Angled it away from the return man. It bounds down around the 12-yard line. It's picked up there. Wildcats are going to try and get it out of the shadow of their own goalpost, and it does end up being a fairly decent return. They get it back to right at the 30-yard line. What a good kick from Pinnell to angle it to the open part of the field away from the return man. Certainly made it tougher on the Wildcats.
Shaheem had a very sound, fundamental kick. As I talked earlier, there's 3 facets to football: defense, offense, and special teams. And our Colonels are playing very, very solid in all 3 phases of that game, this game so far, Kyle.
See how the defense does here on what could end up being Dan Rivers' last possession of the first half. If the Colonels' defense does their job, it should be anyway. Here comes a handoff play on first down. Tailback isolation right up the middle, follows his fullback through the hole and picks up a good chunk of yards there, at least 9, maybe 10, and maybe enough for a Dan River first down. 0-0, still to score. 3:50 left to play in the half now.
One new name we haven't got to call a lot this season either, Jaden Martin, number 15. Good solid tackle for our Colonels.
Will be a Dan River first down. The officials talked about it and studied for a moment. They'll move the chains now. Don't know how quickly the Wildcats want to go. They've got timeouts at their disposal. 3:37 left to play in the half, so really no need for your hurry-up offense just yet. I formation again, 2 receivers left, 1 receiver right. Here comes the tailback, outside running play. That is Tyree Barton. He's clearing a hole for himself. Now he's streaking down the far sideline. The Colonels were in hot pursuit. They drug him down at the 35-yard line. Big-time running play there. A 25-yard gain ripped off by Tyree Barton. Hesitated there about 5 yards past the line of scrimmage and looked for a moment like he was going to the turf, but he broke free of some Colonel tacklers and picked up a good gain.
Those 2 tacklers were Wilo Reynolds, Biggie, and Christian Gilbert. Pretty solid. You got a freshman and a junior out there for the Colonels.
I formation again for Dan River. Far hash mark. They're in Altavista territory now on the 35-yard line. Old school fullback trap play. The fullback is still going. He's in full stride across the 10, the 5. Pinnell cannot catch him. It's a Dan River touchdown for number 23, Tyreek Cheney, in from 35 yards out. You don't see many teams give it to the fullback anymore in football, but this time the Dan River Wildcats decide to go old school. Cheney toting the rock to the house from 35 yards out.
You said earlier was a big play going to bust this open. It did. That's another senior for the senior-dominated Wildcat team. Solid run.
It was a 25-yard rushing play that set it up, and then a 35-yard rushing touchdown. Extra point try for Dan River coming up. Barton will hold. The kicker is John Emery Keller. He gets the right foot on the ball and sneaks it in between the uprights. The Wildcats have struck first. It took them nearly a whole half to do it. It's a 7-0 Dan River lead. Just under 3 minutes to play in the half on 105.5 KD Country.
What do basketball, choir, drama club, and marching band all have in common? They're all high school activities that offer learning opportunities not necessarily found in the classroom. They take up just a fraction of a typical Virginia high school's budget, and they go a long way to giving young people the tools they need to thrive. High school activities, they're more than extracurricular. They're extra important, too.
Brought to you by English Construction Company with offices in Lynchburg.
Your home for Colonel sports coverage. 105.5 KD Country.
Seemed like a matter of time before this Dan River offense would get things going, and they got it done on that drive. A 35-yard rushing touchdown from Tyreek Cheney, and ends up being a 71-yard scoring drive for the Wildcats. They're on top at the moment, 7-0 over the Altavista Colonels.
We talked in the pregame, Kyle, about the Wildcats will run pass first team. I think they did a little strategy on the sideline because they went from the first 3 or 4 possessions pass run-oriented straight to the fullback. And as you said, old school 73-yard run that you very rarely see.
Colonels got an interception earlier in the ball game that gave them some momentum. Now it feels like the momentum with Dan River. Shaheem Pennell fields the kickoff on the move at the 10-yard line. He's streaking down the near sideline, fakes back inside, then he's hit in the thigh pad at the 50-yard line. If he could have beat the one last tackler there who gives him a high five and says great run, then Pennell could have been reaching pay dirt. That was Robert Carter that really flew in there to make the touchdown-saving tackle and then dap Pennell up as they cross paths again.
Football is a game of momentum. The pendulum goes one way, the pendulum goes another, and that metronome is coming back for Altavista. And Shaheem Pennell is showing the home crowd tonight, I'm here, I'm ready to play, and let's keep this game going.
Senior is moving well. He's split out as a wide receiver right now, 2 to each side for the Altavista Colonels. Gilbert wants to roll right and throw. Has some time, flings it out. It's complete to Pennell at the 45. Now he cuts it back inside, making tacklers miss, and he's hit hard in the back from a oncoming pursuit man. It's a 9 or 8 yard gain for the Altavista Colonels. Good pass there from Gilbert to Pennell. Altavista operating quickly here with 2.5 minutes left to play in the half.
Kyle, what a good call on first down. Pass over to the right side from Christian Gilbert to Shaheem. Very positive play.
It's the second time the Colonels have started the drive in plus field territory. They give it to the bulldozing Jonathan Montague. He forms a hole in between left tackle and left guard. It is enough for a Colonel first down. Only picked up about 3 yards, but enough to move the chains. It'll stop the clock for a moment. Colonels still have 2 timeouts at their disposal as well, so I don't think they're in a big rush, but you can see the sense of urgency out there for the Altavista offense. Gilbert rolling left. Wants to throw, flings it out, complete on the left sideline there. He found his receiver nicely. And then number 23, that is Aubrey Johnson, is brought down at the 33-yard line. So there's a new name for the Colonels. It's sophomore Aubrey Johnson on the nice catch, a 5-yard gain.
I want to give credit to the offensive line and to Christian. I'll talk about that play in a second.
Running play, they give it to Jonathan Montague. He follows the pulling guard to the right. Again, another 3-yard gain. This time it's not enough for a first down. It looks like the Altavista Colonels will use one of their timeouts. They stop the clock with 1:37 left to play in the half. Trailing by 7, Altavista will have a third down on the way when you return. High school football on 105.5 KD Country.
GMC. Come on in. Bring the family. See your friends at Highview Motors. Highview Motors. GMC. From small to tall, we've got it all. Highview Motors. GMC.
Your home for Colonel sports coverage. 105.5 KD Country.
The Altavista Colonels trail 7-0 to the Dan River Wildcats, but the home team playing some inspired football here, much better than last week. Dennis, as you and I were just discussing in the timeout, they'll need a big play here. It'll be a 3rd and 3 situation to keep this drive going, although you'd think even if they don't get it, probably going for it on 4th down.
Real quick, the offensive line play and Christian let that play develop, had a good pass, and he was being pursued by 2 big Dan River defenders on that last play.
2 receivers to each side. Design run for Christian Gilbert. He started off left tackle, angled back towards the middle. That's enough for an Altavista first down. He got chopped down at the 24-yard line. Good hard running from the quarterback, Christian Gilbert. A fresh set of downs for the Altavista offense to work with. 93 seconds left to play in the half. Colonels trailing by 7, but now knocking on the door on the 24-yard line of Dan River. Gilbert flings it out to Pinnell. Catches. Sidesteps one man. Hops around another. He's still on his feet. He squirted out of a pile. What move by Pinnell? Diving in the end zone for 6. Touchdown, Shaheem Pinnell. Caught from Christian Gilbert. How about that? Shaheem Pinnell caught it at the 19-yard line. Cut back in the middle of the defense. Then he somehow ran out of what looked like 4 Dan River defenders that were collapsing around him. It was something you'd see in one of those action movies where the hero is being pursued by 4 villains, and somehow he just squirts out of the circle. Then Pinnell nearly got caught at the 5-yard line, but the last effort lunge got him into pay dirt for 6.
Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade.
There it is.
Right there. One of those desert scenes, rescuing the heroine. And I think he's on to kick the extra point.
Yes, he is.
I love this.
That's Shaheem Pinnell's 7th touchdown of the year. His first receiving touchdown. Timeout on the field. The Altavista Colonels weren't organized for the extra point. Let's step aside for a moment, too. Altavista has brought it within 1. A chance to tie with the extra point when you return after the timeout on 105.5 KD Country.
Finch and Finch Funeral and Cremation Service. A family serving families since 1905.
Service you can trust and prices that work for your family. During the moments in life that matter, you'll be able to feel the difference made by family ownership. Finch and Finch, families serving families since 1905.
Finch and Finch Funeral and Cremation Service. A family serving families since 1905.
Your home for Colonel sports coverage. 105.5 KD Country.
Chris Gilbert with a 24-yard passing touchdown to Shaheem Pinnell, and I think Christian Gilbert will even admit, hey, Shaheem did most of the work on that one with those great moves and then the burst of speed to get him to the end zone. Again, that's Pinnell's 7th touchdown of the year. That is Chris Gilbert's 5th passing touchdown. That's not shabby either.
No, it's not. And real quick, Colonel Band at halftime plays a inspired theme of Michael Jackson. There were some Michael Jackson moves out there from Shaheem, and wide receivers were blocking. The offensive line was assignment football. And this is the most amazing game we've called all year thus far for our enthusiastic Colonels. Were we going for 2?
Yeah, how about this? Amazing. The Altavista offense is back out there. They're going to go for 2. Man in motion is Pinnell. He's set, ready to go. They hand it off to Jonathan Montague. Montague hit in the backfield. He stopped short. So the 2-point conversion is no good, but a fun time to roll the dice there. So the Colonels will trail by 1, 7-6. We still got 1:18 left to play in the half. Wildcat football when we come back on 105.5 KD Country.
For more than 103 years, we've offered special banking assistance to many nonprofit organizations. I'm Kathy Morgan with First National Bank, and we have a checking account just for nonprofits and faith-based organizations that has no minimum balance requirement and no monthly maintenance fee. We also specialize in offering financing when your group needs a loan. So come see us at First National Bank, and we'll provide your organization with an extraordinary customer experience. First National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Your home for Colonel sports coverage. 105.5 KD Country.
Altavista goes for 2. They don't get it, but they've come within 1 point here. And the ball game is close again between Dan River and Altavista. Wildcats lead 7-6. Shaheem Pinnell, you said you caught up with him in the meal before the game. He told you to be on the lookout for some new stuff, didn't he?
He did, and it's showing on the scoreboard. It's showing in stats. But real quickly, we've got 2 juggernauts, 2 coaching titans here tonight, and we've got our riverboat gambler and Coach Sharness on our Altavista sideline, and I think that was a great call going for those 2 points, and it's just impressive, very impressive, and I'm excited about what's going to happen this last minute and 10 seconds and going into the third quarter.
If you can believe it, it's just Pinnell's 2nd reception of the year. He's primarily handed the ball on the running plays, but he's a big play threat. If you can throw it to him, that's not a bad option either. He's on to try the kick now. Pinnell's punting has really been good tonight, too. That's helped the Altavista Colonel defense. He'll squib it down the middle of the field, but a whistle blows. Altavista had somebody come across the line of scrimmage before Pinnell kicked the ball away, so they'll have to do it again with a loss of 5 yards. Dan River is going to have 1:18 left in the half. They still have the 3 timeouts to use. Altavista has used all of their timeouts. Not that they would really want to stop the clock with Dan River having the ball, but you never know when one might come in handy. Pinnell will get the football back from the official. It's a good crowd here at Altavista High School. Not the biggest we've seen of the year, but that just probably means we got some more folks listening at home, Dennis.
Yes, we do. And if you're out here in the crowd, I hope they're listening as well.
I know Brent from Englishes said he was going to go to a different game and listen to us. I thought that might get confusing, but if anybody can handle it, Brent can. There's a return that's going to get the Wildcats all the way across the 50-yard line. Stopped at the 43-yard line was the hard-charging return man. That was number 4, Tyree Barton again. Really just ran right down the middle, and the Colonels slowed him down, but really couldn't bring him down until he was across the 45-yard line on the Altavista side of the field.
Unusually good starting field position for the Wildcats right here. 1:09 left. They're going left to right. The Colonels need to play fundamentally sound defense. Wrap them up. Don't make any mistakes. No bad assignments. And let's not let them score.
Shotgun spread formation, two receivers each side. Aston, plenty of time to throw. Now he'll scramble out of the pocket, moving left to right. Heaves it down the field. The pass is out of bounds. Jonte Gilbert was nearly there to pick it off anyway. That's just incomplete on 1st and 10. Good job by the Colonels' secondary and linebackers to cover all the receivers. They made Aston look down to his 2nd and 3rd and maybe even 4th options. Aston did a nice job to keep the play alive and throw it deep.
He did. The Wildcat quarterback is shifty, elusive, but you were right. Check down once, check down twice. His 3rd receiver was jazzed up, and he had to throw it smartly out of bounds.
Same formation, 2 receivers each side. Running back is right. Aston, pump fake, throws over the middle. Oh, receiver got clobbered by the Altavista linebacker. That is number 15, Jaden Martin. He absolutely drilled, and he held on, which is even more surprising. Jordan Price caught the ball. Is it intercepted? Martin got the interception.
Oh,
unbelievable.
There you go.
So not only did he just completely pop the would-be receiver, he picked it off. He had me fooled. I'm not even sure he realized he intercepted it, did he? He didn't celebrate at all. Normally, that's kind of the giveaway. You'll see him jump up and hold up the football. He never did any of that.
How rare somebody catches you off guard. And 88, the big tight end for Dan River, was open right down the middle of the field, and he was walking off the field going, hey, I was open by a country mile.
Right.
But how exciting is this?
I got to recap that, Dennis, because I did botch that. You're right. It's rare for me to get fooled, but I got fooled. It's a timeout on the field for Dan River. It was a passing play on 2nd down. Aston threw a bullet pass over the middle. Jaden Martin for the Altavista Colonels absolutely drilled the intended receiver, Jordan Price, and somehow in the process came up with the football. He didn't react at all. He didn't act like he caught the ball, did he?
No, he didn't. And it caught me off guard. I thought it was a very solid rock-hitting hit.
Yeah.
And what were we talking about earlier? Momentum, plays. Altavista's got the ball at midfield with 51 seconds. We just showed that Wildcat defense, we can move it on you, we can pass, we can run. The offensive line's playing very, very solid. And that's I know I've used that word 1,000 times tonight, but this is a most amazing comeback for these Colonels. Last week, 39-0. We've already scored, and we've got the ball right here on the 40 with 50 seconds left.
What a play.
Wow.
Altavista will start on the Dan River 40-yard line with 51 seconds left. They have no timeouts, but you never know. A big play, and they could be in business. They want to try it here. Passing play. Gilbert wanted to throw, got chased out of the pocket. Hit a couple times, and he lost the ball. The ball is free on the 43-yard line. I believe a Colonel's offensive lineman fell on it and saved it for Altavista. They did. It'll go down as a gain of 2.5 or 3, but that could have been disaster. It really would have given Dan River the ball back right where they left it.
I want to say 62, Kyle, fell on the ball for our offensive line. And we've not been able to call them enough. This wonderful play offensive line has progressed and grown, and they're a solid group. I'm proud of these young men.
No offensive line gets enough attention or enough credit, but you're right about this Colonel's offensive line. There's a good running play there. They paved a nice hole for Jonathan Montague to run through. Clock moving now, and it'll move to a stop. Down to no seconds left to play in the half. The Colonels will go to halftime down one. A very, very fun half of football between Dan River and Altavista. Wildcats lead 7-6. The Tuscan Italian Grill halftime show is on the way next on 105.5 KD Country.
Stay cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Tyree Little's Heating and Cooling, on the ready to keep you comfortable year-round. Locally owned and operated, just a call away, with over 20 years experience. Licensed and bonded. Tyree Little's Heating and Cooling, specializing in heating, air, plumbing, and electrical. Any season, anytime. Tyree Little's Heating and Cooling, keeping you cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Give them a call today. Tyree Little's Heating and Cooling, Gretna.
Fun times are waiting for you at El Cazador, Altavista's oldest Mexican restaurant. Relax in comfort with daily food and drink specials, Mexican and American foods, and a children's menu too. Call for takeout or go online to elcazadorva.com. El Cazador is a proud supporter of community activities like high school sports and the Y. El Cazador is open 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Stop by before or after the game.
To become a Moose is an awesome feeling. You just can't belong to a better organization.
I was born and raised in a Moose, and I'll be a Moose the rest of my life. My son is a Moose. We're three-generation Moose loggers. That's how it is with us. I hope everybody else that can join and become a member, you need to do it. You need to see what it does for us.
Why I belong to the Moose. For friendship, for the children, and most of all for the seniors.
What are you waiting for? Stop by the Moose Family Center in Altavista to learn more about how you can be a Moose.
Your station for high school sports play-by-play is 105.5 KD Country.
The Tuscan Italian Grill halftime show is here, and man, it's a nice time to take a breath after an exciting game, a game that we've seen some different things. The Wildcats lead 7-6. Both teams traded a bunch of punts early in the game. Wildcats score on a running play by their fullback. That man is Cheney. Gosh, I beg your pardon here, fans. It's Tyreek Cheney, number 23. I'm so sorry that had the rushing touchdown. He's a 5'10", 200-pound senior. It was a 35-yard score. It was set up by a 25-yard run from Tyreek Barton. The Altavista Colonels answered with a nice drive, and then a Christian Gilbert touchdown throw to Shaheen Pennell on a play where Pennell really did a Houdini Indiana Jones-like move. I think you said Indiana Jones, Dennis,
I
to
sure did.
Run out of the grasp of not 2, not 3, but 4 Dan River Wildcat defenders, and then he had to shrug off a man on his way to the end zone. Colonels went for 2, didn't get it. It's a 7-6 Dan River lead. Again, I hope we're accurately describing what was a very exciting first half of football.
I think anyone listening can hear it, can sense it. I think people can feel it here in the stadium. This is not the same. This is not your Altavista Colonel team from a week or 2 weeks ago. This is a team that has grown, matured. This is showing we're home. You're not coming to our house and muscle us around. This Wildcat team is big, it's beefy, it's fast. They're averaging about 200 yards rushing a game. They've been uncharacteristic, I think, and they had some laundry left on the field 3 times in that first quarter. And we have not made a mistake. Colonels have not. We've created opportunities on offense and defense. Shaheen has got some solid punting. I mean, we're seeing that growth. I don't know if that was that pregame meal or the pregame pep talk that Ed McCann, the president of the Rotary Club, gave, but this is a different Altavista team than we've seen. Maybe we should let Rotary host dinner every week for the Colonels.
Might be the good luck charm, right?
Yes.
Altavista playing well right now. They do still trail 7-6. I don't think you can take much away from the Dan River Wildcats. Now, Coach Farrell Edmonds would like to take away those penalties. You mentioned those. They had some that really killed their offense. In fact, one that wiped off a long touchdown catch by Bryson McLaughlin. That really hurt Dan River. They had a few other penalties down there as well. They've been intercepted 2 times. Once by Jonte Gord, once by Jaden Martin. That's the 8th and 9th interceptions this year for the Altavista defense. 5th game out of 7 where the Colonels defense has taken a ball out of the air from the other team. So that aspect of Altavista's defense, pretty good. They've had a hard time stopping the hard-charging running backs from Dan River, and you can see why. Very good group of running backs and a very good offensive line to run behind, as you've mentioned. Big guys up front. All in all, it's really the most exciting and competitive football game we've seen this year. Of course, you go back to Game 1,
Yes.
Lunenburg versus Altavista. That was back-to-back football, but this one here tonight, I think, rivals that.
Altavista is outmanned, outmatched as far as numbers go. But, you know, you just said 2 interceptions. The Wildcat quarterback, Peyton Austin, only had 5 interceptions through the first 5 games. He's thrown 2 tonight. And this has been odd. What I watched in game film on Dan River is I told you, run first, pass second. They're only about 80 yards a game. They tried a 78-yard touchdown that was called back from McLaughlin, the tight end from Dan River, pushing off what you never see, as you called, offensive pass interference. But, you know, I'm pleased. This is the most impressive half of football, even more so than week 1 on the road with the Chargers of Central Lunenburg, because I don't think the Colonels know that they shouldn't be playing this well. I don't think that they know that there's been some talk, you know, that there was no emotion a couple of weeks ago. I don't think anybody has got any chatter in the back of their head tonight. Altavista is not the same team we've seen the last 3 weeks.
Playing much better here tonight. They do still trail by 1. It's Dan River 7, Altavista 6. We'll return and talk more about the ball game. We'll get you some scores from around the area. And, oh, yes, we'll certainly discuss our halftime sponsor, the Tuscan Italian Grill. They're just off Route 29 in Altavista. It's convenient for everybody. Yes, I'm even talking to you, Dan River fans. I know some are tuned in. Our dear friend Jacob Waller is tuned in now. He's had a long day of watching baseball, and we'll discuss some baseball as well in the Tuscan Italian Grill halftime show. It's Dan River 7, Altavista 6. You're hearing it live on 105.5 KD Country.
The game is brought to you by these members of the KD Country Sports Club.
Radio Shack and Crystal Bay Pools, serving your area since 1989 for swimming pool installations, chemicals, liners, and more.
El Cerrito. Throw on a sombrero. Shake your maracas. It's El Cerrito time. Authentic Mexican cuisine only El Cerrito can serve up.
One Stop Mart, Main Street, Altavista, where the gas is cheap, beverages are cold, and the chicken is kicking.
McDonald's of Altavista, proud supporter of the Altavista Colonels. Stop by or drive through before or after the game.
The Dairy Freeze with hot dogs, burgers, fries, and of course ice cream. They're doing it right at the Freeze on Main Street, Altavista.
Old Dominion Insurance. See Kim and Gil, your Erie insurance agents on Main Street, Gretna, next to Tyler Flower Shop.
Thanks for sponsoring tonight's broadcast on 105.5 KD Country.
A short drive will save you money.
This is Greg Walker with Feller Chevrolet. Our new 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty has many customers buying from us instead of the competition. Covers any vehicle purchased up to 10 years old with less than 150,000 miles, new or used. With our 3-day money-back guarantee, you can buy with confidence. Where else can you get great prices, good selection, 3-day money-back guarantee, and a warranty that gives you 10 years of protection? Come see us. You'll be glad you did.
Feller Chevrolet in Altavista.
More live high school sports action on 105.5 KD Country.
The Tuscan Italian Grill halftime show returns here from Altavista High School. It's a Dan River 7-6 lead at the moment. I'm Kyle Hoehne. He's Dennis Jarvis. Our sound engineer is Katie back at home base. She is doing her best to make us sound the best. Speaking of the best, Dennis, the Tuscan Italian Grill, the Aaron Shopping Center in Altavista. It's just off Route 29. You don't have to be an Altavista person to go there. It's convenient for everybody, and it's so delicious.
You know, I tried something. I went to an old standby that I tried a few times in the summer at Rotary this Tuesday. I had the Mediterranean salad, and it's just like one of their gyros or heroes. It depends on how you pronounce it. That's just as tasty. And everyone sitting around me was like, "Dennis, what are you having?" I said, "Well, you've got so much variety, so many choices. It's I keep them on the edge of their seat, kind of like the Altavista Colonels tonight for the home crowd."
What a segue there. What a great segue by you. The home crowd is enjoying the ball game tonight. Looks like the visitor stands are 40 to 50% full. The home crowd certainly enjoying the performance the Altavista Marching Band is putting on. Dennis, you mentioned their last competition. The Marching Colonels took home a little bit of hardware, didn't they?
Oh, these Colonels, the Marching Colonels, last week had overall second place for single A, first place percussion, first place music. They're going to be at Franklin County Classic tomorrow, tipping off at 3. And about 2 weeks prior to that, they were overall grand champion of a music festival earlier. And this wonderful Michael Jackson halftime that you're doing. Now we've got some props out there. It's Man in the Mirror. The Other Side Flips is dance moves from Michael Jackson's catalog of music. I find it's always comforting to talk about Altavista. We did well. We've got Peyton. We got Peyton Cogsdale qualified for the golf state finals this week in golf. The cross country team won last week. We just got announced that the Altavista Bino Eagles are nominated Tuesday night for a Tech Edge Region 2000 Technology Innovation Award, and we have a big bright moon, harvest moon to our left. Wow.
It almost looks fake out there. It's so golden and large and glowing, and hope if you're inside you can step outside, check out that moon, keep us tuned in. It's the Tuscan Italian Grill halftime show. Hey, some area scores real quick before we take a break. LCA leading Liberty 7-0 at last glance. It's Appomattox up 30-0 on Chatham. The Stanton River Golden Eagles flying high again. They're leading Franklin County 30-7. EC Glass on top of Rustburg 21-0. Amherst was beating Jefferson Forest 9-0. In the matchup of the unbeatens, William Campbell leading Gretna 14-6 at the moment, and Heritage is beating Brookville in the old Timberlake Road matchup 17-7. We'll step aside. It's 7-6 Dan River here. We're back with more Tuscan Italian Grill halftime show right after this on 105.5 KD Country.
You can buy paint from any old yahoo who knows nothing about paint in one of those big box stores. For quality paint from people who really know paint, it's Davis Paints from your complete home center, English's. Davis Paints, which has been known for quality since 1921, is not just sold anywhere. Visit the new paint room at English's, your authorized Davis Paint dealer.
English's, your complete home center.
On North Main Street, Altavista.
Napa know-how.
Getting the best usually costs a pretty penny. But when it comes to getting one of the best motor oils, pretty at all, not a quart. So treat yourself to Valvoline Fulton. Prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Offer expires 9/30/17.
Napa Auto Parts, Main Street, Altavista, across from Feller Chevrolet.
Thinking of starting a business or expanding your company? Think about choosing Altavista as your location to invest and grow. Altavista offers low utility cost, broadband internet, US 29 access, and an attractive quality of life. You'll score big just like the Colonels when you invest in Altavista. Huddle up with the Altavista Office of Economic Development at Altavista Town Hall.
Back to the press box for high school sports on 105.5 KD Country.
The Tuscan Italian Grill halftime show returns from Altavista High School. Band's still doing their thing. It's a 7-6 Dan River lead as we gaze at the rising harvest moon to our left there, Mr. Jarvis.
You know, it's a couple of things enter my head. This is a Tuscan Italian Grill halftime. When the moon hits your eye, it's just like a piece of pie. That's amore. You know, what you talked about that moon, and it reminded me of the pizza buffet, the lunch buffet at Tuscan Grill. And, you know, if you're not been up there, like our folks from Dan River that are plentiful right across the way from us, if you all have not been up there, they have wonderful pies. They have great spaghetti, great lasagna. But you just inspired me to do that right there, more than you know.
It's a $6.99 all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. All-you-can-eat pizza, pasta, salad, and dessert. And I'm being told by our producers that they're going to dock your pay if you sing again. So that's up to you. If you don't care about the money, keep singing. I mean, I'm just telling you what they're telling me. Hey, we mentioned a few shout-outs earlier. The gang from English's was really kind to us for their open house and big sale. I know I already mentioned that Brent listens all the time, but just tons of great people up there at English's. Brent, Don, the entire crew. I mean, They do great stuff. Really enjoyed hanging around with them, and we know a lot of them are big-time high school football fans. They listen. How about folks like Hank Frazier and Dandy Dan Kaufman? They're probably tuned in tonight.
Dandy Dan Kaufman, my mom Diane Jarvis.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about the crew out there listening.
Let's see. I know we've got Ethan, John, and Peyton Cogsdale. They're on their way down the road with their mom Heather and our great town manager Waverly, going to homecoming at Wingate this weekend. My brother's birthday's today, and he's dialed in listening to us. So
he doesn't have a game?
Yeah,
or a different brother?
The same brother. He just took the night off. So
somebody call our producers back and tell them I want the night off on my birthday.
Oh, we should.
If the other Jarvis can get a night off, I want a night off.
But this is National Tailgate Week, and what
you would happen to know that.
And I would. And last weekend we were doing that broadcast at English's, and they had some wonderful Orca. Virginia Tech, Auburn, Alabama gear in there. They have the Orca rocket that I came over and showed you. That's 3 pieces. It keeps your beverage chilled. I bet you they're watching the Gretna William Campbell game, drinking out one of those Orca tumblers, listening to us call the game tonight. I bet you 50 cents. That's what they're doing.
I think you nailed it. I'm not going to take that bet because I don't want to lose 50 cents. Hey, let's get back to football here at the final stages of this Tuscan Italian Grill halftime show. It's a 7-6 Dan River lead over Altavista. Sometimes we talk about adjustments here. We try and play coach for a moment. What do you think? I mean, the Wildcats, they've thrown 2 interceptions. They've had some penalties. I think if they keep the ball on the ground and pound it, they can maybe try and wear down this Altavista defense. That would be my bet if I'm a Dan River coach. Now, if I'm an Altavista coach, how are you going to stop that Dan River running game, and how are you going to get some more points on the board, too?
I said this earlier. This is we should have led in with this. This is the Titans of coaching game. With Coach Edmonds across the way and a 4-time state champion leading the Colonels to the charges tonight. I think either way, we saw Dan River do what we said they weren't going to. Pass, run. Not run, pass. They'll line up in an I formation. They send trips to the right, send trips to the left. Altavista is showing some shifts on defense. We're getting through their big offensive line. I think Altavista is also showing some things on offense. But we get the ball back to start the third quarter. Altavista does. And we've been calling some names. We said this. We hadn't called all season. I don't know. This isn't, we don't bet on high school football, but I know. I've seen this tonight. I sensed it in pregame meal. I sensed it in warm-ups. The Colonels are fired up. And this is a wonderful scenario. The moon is rising. It's not a bad harbinger of things to come. This is not a CCCR song. I see a bad moon rising. I think it's going to be a bad moon for the Wildcats to light their path going home tonight.
Services, fully equipped service trucks, certified craftsmen, and quick response to satisfy your needs. Industrial at powerconstruction.com. PCM Industrial is a fully insured Class A license. Go Colonels.
Your home is your biggest investment. It must be handled properly. Let system is ready. Ready for the rest of the summer and ready for the upcoming fall and winter. Call D.L. Bryant Heating and Cooling at 434-841-1580. That's 841-15...
Winning coverage on 105.5 KD Country.
Tuscan Italian Grill halftime show is done. We appreciate the folks at Tuscan. A lot of big-time high school foot Tuscan, and the English is your complete home center third quarter. English's is your home for Carhartt clothing for men and women. Durable, fashionable clothing that lets you live the lifestyle you want. Tough, dependable, that's Carhartt. Available now at English's on North Main Street in Altavista. It's a 1-point Dan River lead. Altavista is scheduled to receive the football to start this third quarter. I'm Kyle. He's Dennis. Thank you so much for tuning in here on this first Friday in October. Still felt like a bit outside now. It feels like football weather.
Kyle, I'm hope I would have my hands team on here if I was Coach Sharness and the Colonels, because you never know what these Wildcats are going to do on this kickoff.
I don't disagree with you there. Altavista's been burned by that a few times. Think back to the William Campbell game most recently. The Generals recovered an onside kick. Here comes the run-up from John Emery Keller. He will boot it long. Fielded by Christian Gilbert at the 5-yard line, just inside the near sideline. He'll angle back to the middle, meet some resistance at the 25, chop down around the 26 or 27. Colonels will scrimmage from there to start this second half. They had 6 possessions in the first half, 4 punts, a touchdown, and then the last one that ran out of time there because of the halftime break.
You know, Kyle, Colonel's intercepted a pass on the 40 the Wildcats, the end the second quarter, and now we're starting in relatively good field position for the first possession for the Colonels in the second half.
We forgot to mention that our dear friend Dave Mabry probably tuned in out there somewhere in Radio Land. Here comes the shotgun snap. Gilbert, it's a design run all the way. He got caught in the backfield by a hard-charging defender. That was number 51, A.C. Biagioni. I believe I got that right. My good buddy Jacob Waller will tell me if I was close, hopefully. He got in the backfield and dove low and got Gilbert by the socks and the shoes.
You know, I saw Dave Mabry walking this afternoon, and I know he was tuned in on the KD Country app because he had his headphones in walking, and I know you heard that Loretta Lynn song I was talking to you about earlier.
He's a big music fan. Colonels will have 2nd and 10 from the near right hash mark, 26-yard line. Wildcats are set up with 5 down linemen. Ends up being 3 linebackers. Here's the option play to the left. Gilbert had nowhere to go. He faked the handoff up the middle, and again, the Wildcat defense was swarming on him almost immediately. Dan River has spent a lot of time in the Altavista backfield. This brings up 3rd and 11 for the Altavista offense. First possession of the half. Colonels trail by 1, 7-6. Dan River leading.
Kyle, folks can't see what we saw. Christian got up, slapping his hands. He knew that something wasn't awry, but he's pumped. He's ready. He went and tapped his offensive line on the helmet and said, hey, let's keep it going.
1 receiver to each side, 1 wing back to each side. Gilbert wants to throw after the run fake. Dragged down, thrown forward. It's a loss of 1, and it'll bring up a punting situation for the Altavista Colonels. Gilbert did a nice job on the initial run fake, but the Dan River defensive line, they just keep coming. They keep pressuring. They've made a lot of stops in the Altavista backfield. Pardon me.
That was Daniel Dickerson, a senior, 5'9", 228. When we're saying big, they're big.
Strong and fast, too. Add those adjectives in there. Here comes another Hoehne Pannell punt. This will get fielded cleanly. He's 30 yards on the return on the punt, and Dan River starts with their best field position of the evening. We've got a Colonel defender down on the far sideline as well.
Kyle, it looks like Hoehne Pannell.
Pannell was there. He had to angle his way over to that far sideline to try and stop Robert Carter, and he did. It looks like he may have paid somewhat of a price in the process. He's down for a moment with an injury. We will take a timeout as well. 9:47 remaining in the Englishes, your complete home center, 3rd quarter. It's Dan River football, fresh set of downs, and a 1-point lead on 105.5.
Organized sports programs build character as well as bodies and minds. They know that high school sports build our youth into more well-rounded and more productive adults. English Construction Company is proud to be a sponsor of high school sports and salute all athletes, coaches, and teachers. A word of praise and encouragement from English Construction Company with offices in Lynchburg.
Now back to the action with Colonel Sports on 105.5 KD Country.
So in a very good sign for Altavista Colonel fans, Hoehne Pannell hops up and jogs off under his own power. That's good to see. I say for Colonel fans, for Dan River fans too. I mean, you never want to see anybody get hurt. Colonels are back up against the wall a bit here. Dan River with great starting field position. They're on the Altavista 20-yard line. They'll operate from the I formation, far hash mark, right. Stopped after a 4-yard gain.
You know, he's had a long 40 on the year, 4 touchdowns thus far through the first 5 games. He's averaging 6.8 yards a carry.
Tyreek Cheney scored the touchdown for Dan River early. He's the fullback in there now. Watch for him again. He'll be free across the 5 into the end zone for 6. Pretty much smooth sailing. Had to dodge one Altavista linebacker, but after that, there wasn't many orange jerseys in sight. A rushing touchdown for Tyreek Barton gives the Dan River Wildcats a little breathing room. They're up 13-6. Extra point on the way.
Kyle, that was not lack of fundamentals or anything from the Altavista defense. That was a wonderful special teams execution from the Wildcats to set up wonderful field position to set up that touchdown.
Set up by the Robert Carter punt return. Here comes the kick from Emery Keller that Isn't that what happened?
I like that.
Okay.
Doinked. I like that. That's the first time we've heard that word executed.
Have to hit the upright again, or perhaps the crossbar. John Emery Keller will get to try the extra point earlier against Dan River. He's stepping off the next attempt now. Snap is good. Ball is on the block. It's an end-over-end kick that sails right down the middle. It's good. Dan Rivers lead 14-6. 9:12 left to play in the third quarter on 105.5 KD Country.
Needs are Have-You Motors GMC has it all from small to tall. New to pre-owned, offering more than just GMC sales. Have-You Motors GMC provides 24-hour towing, full-service body shop, state inspection, transmissions, everything in between. Have-You Motors GMC quality service.
Your home for Colonel sports coverage. 105.5 KD Country.
Dan River 14, Altavista 6. The Wildcats pad their lead with a Tyree Barton 17-yard rushing touchdown. Tyreek Cheney had no catch. Tyreek Cheney, pardon me, still can't get it right, is number 23. He's the fullback with the earlier score. Here comes the kickoff for the Wildcats. Altavista, after the fall down, after a couple more bangs to his pads and his helmet. Dropped at the 20.
A first 3 and out for Altavista on that possession. Great punt, but even better momentum coming back for the Colonels. They go left to right on the radio dial. And we're going to have Shaheen back in. We're going to have Jonathan Montague there. Christian's running with reckless abandon. Offensive line's playing solid. So let's get this going.
Wildcats have 5 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, a deep safety. Christian Gilbert, quarterback lead play off left tackle. Ran into the fence of the dance on the first down running play. 8:52 left to play in the Englishes, your complete home center. Third quarter. It's a 14-6 lead. Very close ball game. It was 0-0 to end the first quarter. 7-6 night without the services of Aaron Close and Jacob Adams. Here comes the 2nd and 6 play. It'll be me. That was Jonte Gord that got hit as he was trying to catch the football. They tossed his own power just fine. And it'll set up third down.
Fortunate for us, Jonte was thinking before he was trying to catch the ball, but had he caught it, that would have been a huge hit. Still impressed that we could catch you off guard again on the play action pass.
Yeah, it's a hard gain. It took a decent Altavista bounce and rolled to a stop at the Dan River 41-yard line. Guess not enough contact to initiate the penalty call from the officials there. Wildcats will take us
to calling that number all season long.
I need help. Tyreek Cheney is the as a rushing back. 1-letter difference, but it makes all the difference in the world. 2nd and 5, passing play. Aston steps Offland, who was running well in full stride, but the pass maybe just a foot or so too long. Good strong throw by the quarterback, Peyton Aston. It will bring up 3rd and 5 for Dan Rivers' offense.
So let's rewind back real quick. First possession of the first quarter to Bryson McLaughlin on a pass interference. Same play to the opposite side of the field. Just a little too long from Austin back out to McLaughlin.
I formation again, fullback and a tailback, 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Colonels have the 4 down linemen, 1 deep safety. Looks like maybe man coverage in the secondary. Option play to the right yard line. Now the Colonels corral him and tighten the fence and bring him down. At the far sideline, 37-yard line. Good option play. We have not seen the Wildcats bust out the option, but very well executed for Dan River to pick up a first down.
That was some plays up at halftime, did something different. First time you've seen that run option down the right side. The alley was great, wide open for the Wildcats.
Barton's still in there at the tailback spot, it looks like. Right hash mark, 37-yard line. Wildcats are in Altavista territory. Here's an inside running play where Barton never really got started, but a good surge from the offensive line gets him a full 5 yards. I mean, gosh, it looked like he was stopped for no gain. Kept pushing, sort of got lost in the pile, and the Dan River offensive line kept pushing as well. 2nd and 5 coming up for the Wildcats. They lead 14-6. 5:20 left to play in the Englishes, your complete home center, third quarter.
Kyle, that was three fundamentals of the game. Tackling, offensive line play. Very, very solid right there from the Wildcats.
I formation again. 3 wide receivers. They fake the toss. Here comes the fullback trap again. It's Tyreek Cheney. He's rumbling. He's got some speed, and he's brought down before he can get going full speed at the 20-yard line. He is slow to get up, but it was another first down run, a 10-yard gain for the Dan River Wildcats. It looks like Cheney's going to walk off to the sideline. The helmet is off.
You know, Tyreek's a 5'10", 200-pound senior, and it's hard for you to we talked about this earlier. Wildcats run 5 and 6 different backs in, averaging 200 yards plus rushing a game, and it's hard for you to get tongue-tied when that's the 5th or 6th.
Has a lot of talented backs at their disposal, and they're using. Why wouldn't you keep those guys fresh when you have the chance to? Looks like Barton back in there at the tailback spot now. Aston is under center. Looks over the play. Barton, left tackle, sucked the defense in. Now he's bouncing outside across the 10, headed to the end zone. He is in for a touchdown, a 20-yard scoring run for Tyree Barton, his second rushing touchdown of the night. It looked like it was designed to go off tackle. Some vision, bounced it outside, and saw that he had a lot of green grass in front of him out there on the left sideline.
That's Tyree Barton's 6th touchdown on the season thus far as well, Kyle.
He is another one of those talented seniors for the Wildcats. Here's the extra point. It is good again. Dan River has blown up the lead, 21-6. We've still got 4:28 third quarter. Altavista football when you return on 105.5 KD Country.
Finch and Finch Funeral and Cremation Service. A family serving family since 1905.
Service you can trust and prices that work for your family during the moments in life that made by family ownership. Finch and Finch, families serving families since 1905.
Finch and Finch Funeral and Cremation Service. A family serving family since 1905.
Your station for high school sports play-by-play is 105.5 KD Country.
Tyree Barton in for his second rushing touchdown of the evening. Tyreek Cheney has the other rushing touchdown for the Dan River Wildcats, and they now lead 21-6. Not desperation time yet for Altavista, Dennis, but the offense needs to get going, make some headway. Tough Dan River defense to get headway against, but we'll see what the Colonels have to offer up here on their what's going to be their third possession of the second half.
Real quick, that play was, we had 5-6. These Wildcats are fast.
Sure are. Here comes the run-up from John Emery Keller. This kick is a little bit shorter. Oh, Montague jumped up, balance, frustration there from Jonathan. It's not great starting field position for the Altavista offense. They're going to have to go 88 yards, it looks like, to get to pay dirt now. Tad.
Week 3, Stanton River, 92 yards, picked up a touchdown.
As it is now, it's a Dan River 21-6 lead. 4:25 left to play in the third quarter. Here comes the shotgun snap, handled by Christian Gilbert. He hands off to Shaheem Panetta. Gets blown up as he's trying to make a break for the hole. Loss of one or perhaps no. Big DeAndre Edmonds was in there again. It also looked like number 34, Noah Carnes, was back there in the back.
Kyle, this defensive line is just as big and as sound week in and week out for these Colonels. Everybody is solid. Everybody's tough.
No nights off for the Altavista Colonels, not on their schedule. They put a man in motion. Gilbert's going to sprint out to the left. Gilbert's hand went backwards, out of bounds. It's incomplete. It'll set up 3rd and 10 for the Altavista offense.
Kyle's trying to see which Wildcat defender that bounced off of. It looked like a right shoulder pad, and I think the ball was just a little wet or a little slick for Christian. That's why it wasn't that. It was a play set up well. Could have picked up some positive yardage, but luckily that wasn't a wide. And
will start forming on the field. I don't know if there's any moisture out there right now. There's certainly no rain out there yet. Maybe it's down, and Altavista looks like they're going to be in another punting formation. This is not good news for the Colonels offense. Robert Carter is back deep to return for Dan River. His heels are on.
He was a little blocked. They ran into the kicker. Maybe something positive. Catch him, jump off sides, run into the kicker.
Tackler ran into his own man. Fakes his way back to the inside. He's still on his feet somehow. High-stepping him. The one they didn't start on the good side of the 50. They started on their own 41, and they ended up scoring anyway. No signal. Officially, I believe it's just going to be a gain of 1. The knee was down there as the ball started slipping out of the grasp of Tyree Barton.
With 51 seconds left in the second quarter, that would have changed the momentum of this game.
Slant route caught by McLaughlin at the 5-yard line, and he just plows his way into the end zone. He had to run through one Altavista defender, and he made that look easy. McLaughlin, good route running there. He ran the slant, inside, made himself available, caught the pass, and then turned and bulldozed his way into the end zone.
Well, we make us right. Did Aston have a touchdown pass in the first half as well?
He did not.
Okay, so that's his.
2 rushing touchdowns. They get to the holder and throw him backwards at the 20-yard line. So the extra point is no good, but Dan 20.55 KD Country.
This is 100% convenient mobile banking with local First National.
You can. It's free, so search First Snap mobile app and download it for free today.
Remember, banking from
FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
More live high school sports action.
It was a 7-6 ball game when we made it to the Tuscan Italian Grill halftime show, Dennis. Since then, too.
You know, just looked like a rag doll out there with the Altavista defender and rumbled right into
the 27-yard line. Colonel's offense will operate there. They've got 1:57 remaining in the English's. And it looks like after 3 quarters, scoreboard's going to show sort of a blowout, injured play.
And she's got a group of college students down tonight, the
right side. Passing play again. This time Gilbert wants to get out of the pocket. He will not escape the pocket. He will not escape the ground.
Number 88, like Lynn Swan, back there real fast. This Wildcat defensive line is big, is beefy, and hungry. Offense again.
Opposite for Dan River. They've touched the ball 3 times in the third quarter, and they've scored all 3. And off the last play of the third quarter. Barton again on the carry, followed the big lineman there. I tell you, we don't talk about the Altavista O-line enough, but we're not talking about 75 DeAndre Edmonds. When you
Cooley. Kent Tyree has over 20 years experience and specializes in
back to and listen on 105.5.
You know, my mom's been texting me this evening, and she says we're coming through clear there in the mountains of West Virginia, but what a momentum swing for that third quarter. And thank him.
Right out of the I formation again. Fullback behind the quarterback, tailback another 5 yards behind him.
Smart play call by the Wildcat offensive coordinator. There was 5-6.
Gilbert coming in there, hitting him up high, and then they exchange pleasantries after the pass in for the Wildcats with the 27-6 lead.
Dance partners, that was it's about
a 5-yard cushion. Of course, Dan River doesn't have to throw the ball. It will be a passing play. Straight 5-step drop back, timed the perfectly. Another nice pass from Aston. He really does have a good throwing arm, but it's in here for 4th and 10. They're pretty deep in Altavista territory. No reason to punt this ball away at all.
Aston first, check
back in the left flat, but Altavista's defender was in there to knock it away.
Number 55, Keyshawn Moon, a sophomore. Number we have not got to. We will bend, not break. That 20-point spread momentum been coming through. We shut them down.
A lot in this ball game. He's really rising to the occasion. Shotgun formation. Back. It ended up being a 2-yard gain for the senior, Shaheem Pennell. He's a tad slow to get up.
Yes.
Looks like he...
And the third than anyone that I've seen in many years of watching football.
Clock moving, 9:50 left, sifting his way through the teeth of the Dan River defense for a hard-earned 3-yard gain. It'll bring up the Altavista. Don't know if it would change it enough. 9:18 left to play in the English's, your complete home center. Dropped at the 32-yard line. That's short of the first down marker. Now the curve. Execution by the quarterback, Christian Gilbert.
As you said it last week as we were exiting the booth, you got a full Adams with Jacob being out tonight. We've not got to call Jaden's his name at all.
At the end of that 2-step move, it'll bring up 3rd and short for the Altavista offense. In the third,
shifted back to our Altavista Colonels.
Jaden Gilbert and Jonte Gord are the wingbacks. Gord in motion. Montague instead. He's tripped up, but he falls across the line to gain for a first down. That'll move the chains. Colonel's putting together what's really a yeoman-like drive here. Not a lot of flashy stuff.
Today's nail. What a good analogy, good adjective from you too.
Thanks, buddy. Here comes. He got tripped.
There's so many names on that Wildcat roster. It's
so many guys that make plays.
Yes.
It's impressive. Yeah,
it is.
Throwing different bodies out there at you. It's like being in a 12-round fight, but the opponent gets to use it. Gave somebody an idea. He'll lead the way for Christian Gilbert on a quarterback isolation type of running play. Solid pickup of 4. I think Montague just went up there and wanted to tell the left tackle some new coming up. Let's see if the Colonels, clad in the home orange tonight, can keep the drive going.
Kyle, this is just a positive show of why we got a timeout coming, but this is just a positive show.
In the ball game, our fourth quarter is presented by English's Your Complete Home Center. We talk a lot about the kitchen. Keeps your beverages hot, cold, whatever temperature you put it in there. It's going to keep spun around. Jacob Waller. It is Be a Joni. Be-a-Joni. How about that on the tackle for Dan River? It ended up being a loss of 2. Altavista's going to situation, and it might turn out the light on their comeback chances. We're under 5 minutes to play. Not just down. It looks like a new quarterback in the ball game for Dan River is Tracy Glass. He is just a freshman, and he hands off on that first down running play.
Kyle, would you say do some fun?
And I mean, if you fumble the ball away, score on River. 4 minutes exactly left in the ball game.
Sorry about that. I was going to say Noah Carnes, number 34.
Wildcat handoff to number 7, Jetty Bandy. He turns the corner and now runs over a would-be tackler down at the 10-yard line. I think he might have hurt himself a little bit in breaking that tackle at the 20-yard line. He's brought down inside the 5 by the Colonel's defense. The pursuit back for.
You've got Man of War. You've got people who won the Preakness and the Belmont.
Glass, hands off. It's Carnes heading for the left pylon. He sneaks it in for a touchdown. And Pader really putting their foot on the gas here in the second half.
You know, we talked about things off radio numbers there. Name number 34, Mr. Carnes, Noah Carnes. We've been calling him on defense. We didn't know. It's just
late stages of the ball game. Let's see if Altavista can make it look a little bit better on the scoreboard. 3:05.
Relax in comfort with daily food and drink specials, Mexican and American foods, and a children of community.
Your high school sports station with award-winning coverage on 105.0.
Not talked about. Cheerleaders for Dan River do jumping jacks after every touchdown, and I think 34-6.
In all 3 phases of the game. Now, I mentioned before we go to break, as well, 34 points for the Dan River Wildcats, 6 points for the Altavista. Just under 3.
With Colonel Sports on 105.5 KD Country.
250 inches. Anybody, even Dan River Wildcat fans. Colonels will operate from the far hash mark at their own 30. You never know. Wildcats have scored 4 times in the second half, Dennis. They had 1 drive where they turned it over on downs, couldn't pick up a 4th down. But other than that, they've been in the end zone a lot. Shaheen, another man, he's got a few more in the reserves, but he had to work hard for that 10 yards. It'll move the chains with 2:48 left.
Another Colonel.
They're playing a lot harder than they played last week. I think everybody on the Colonel's team, and also that was Pinnell on the carry again. Just a 1-yard gain, or perhaps no gain when they look like the coach. Jarvis is getting choked up over here. Yeah, get this man some help. 2:05 left to play in the ball. Next week on a Thursday, outside running play for Christian Gilbert. Uses the right-handed stiff arm to free up another 5 yards.
You know, the football team is not giving up. They're still running plays. They're still playing fast. For these kids that played tonight, Kyle.
It was a 20-0 Dan River quarter. Yeah, a few plays here, a few plays there. It's a 1-yard gain, maybe 2. 1:20 left to play in the ball game. 34-6 score. So the 30-yard line. He made some nice moves to dodge would-be tacklers.
Lasso, corralled, and befuddled.
All in the same sentence, right?
Fantastic play call.
Our new 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty has many customers buying from us instead of the competition. You can buy with confidence. Where else can you get great prices, good selection, 3-day money-back guarantee, and a warranty?
9 seconds left. 1st and 10. Gord goes in motion from left to right. They hand off.
You know, Kyle, we're only got 20 seconds left in this game.
Scans with the
English is
more than a hardware store.
English is.
My friends may call me the
offers low utility cost, broadband internet, US 29 access.
He actually had the first touchdown for Dan River. That touchdown in the second quarter on the fullback track. First half, and then we saw Dan River really start to flex the muscle a bit.
You got tongue-tied so many times because 7 or 8 different. We're talking sometime in our eager listeners that this undefeated battle.
Well, right now the Hawks are down 21-14. We'll see. There's still about 5 minutes left to play. It'll be Thursday night football here from Altavista High School tonight on the first Friday in
Your home is your biggest investment. it must be handled properly. Let the professionals at DL Bryant 1-1580. DL Bryant is ready to protect your investment.
Played with competition. Studies show that student athletes in Virginia are also likely to enjoy greater levels of achievement in other areas of their
club. Does their thing at the concession stand. It's a fun place to watch a game. Hope you'll come out and join us Thursday night. If you're a football fan, you got to like that because you can watch this game on Thursday and then best seen in person. Tonight, this one in person was a 34-6 victory for Dan River. Part of these Dan River players are fast and physical. They've got some size. Fun.
We'll see. Week. The only game I haven't got to see was that Prince Edward game. But I will tell you, this week was not the team that played this week. Best one team won. It's the first possession. I think that's really what set this momentum for the Wildcats and blocked. You give the Wildcats that good field position, quick strike. And what I read about these young men coming in from Dan River tonight, run, pass, showed some things.
Final 60-second timeout. We're back with some scores, players of the game, and then we'll ride off into the sunset.
The game is brought to you by
Radio Shack and Crystal Bay Pools, serving your area since 1989 for swimming pool installation.
Somebody else arrived through before or after the game.
The Dairy Freeze with hot dogs, burgers, fries, and of course ice.
Street, Gretna, next to Tyler Flower Shop.
Thanks for sponsoring tonight's broadcast on...
Back to the press box for high school sports on 105.5 KD.
Award-winning high school sports coverage, 55 consecutive years of it. It's 105.5 KD Country. I'm Kyle Hoehne. He's Dennis Jarvis. Dan River with the win tonight, 34-6 over the Altavista. William Campbell lead over the Gretna Hawks. That game has not gone final yet. Heritage is beating Brook. Grayson Overstreet, 3 more touchdowns. He breaks the all-time career VHSL record with 115.
Wow.
And a guy from William Campbell, Cedric Pierre.
Altavista Colonel football. These are the nights that are going to make the sophomores and juniors. Listen to, you build character, you build strength, and high school with Gretna coming in Thursday night. A lot of names.